show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? It is Thursday, October 17th. This is weird going live on Thursday night. Tara's supposed to be live, not us.
Right.
But thank you so
It's
much to everybody
all
that's
the
here.
shenanigans.
Yes.
Thank you.
So
I
I'm
can't
really
see you, so I'm gonna.
excited. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I'm gonna refresh because I can't see you, and that bothers me. So I'll be right back. Keep going.
All right. StreamYard, gotta love it. So I really appreciate you guys all being here. We have an exciting live for you this evening, one that I've really been excited for. We have Mark Calvin with us, and we'll get into that here in just a little bit. But everybody, please welcome Mark. He's doing an awful lot behind the scenes for Veronica and Jilian, and I truly just can't thank him enough for coming on and being willing to talk with us about what he has been doing. So thank you and welcome. Kara, thank you for being here always.
You can't get rid of me as much as you try. I'm stuck with you. Live
I
sentence,
never
baby.
try.
Live sentence.
Yes.
Correct. Which makes me a little worried about your mentality and mental health, but hey, I'll take what I can.
That I'm willing to go along with this.
Correct. And that your husband's like, yeah, she's cool. There's something wrong.
I know.
But
That's
right.
Yeah. Definitely. All right. So the first part's just going to be pretty quick because we already went through this with Paul Grice. But as most of you already know, Cora Twombly did file some filings just on the 15th, I believe it was. So we want to go through that real quick. Cora and Paul Grice both recently filed waivers of their right to a speedy trial and their preliminary hearings. So we knew Paul had done that previously, and then he was transported to another jail. As of now, Cora is still at the Texas County Jail. I haven't received anything that she has been moved. If she does, then I'll definitely let you guys know through the Facebook group. But as of now, she is still there. Cora's filings came after new charges were filed against Tad, Tiffany, and Cole, if you remember from a couple of weeks ago. So that's pretty interesting. And that raises a key question. I think we all probably know the answer, but are Cora and Paul cooperating with the DA to negotiate a plea deal?
So I can speak on part of that. I can say I've received enough communications, enough tips to say that yes, Paul is cooperating with the state. He is considered to be state's witness to and I've received multiple angles on this one. So yes, Paul is. I have not been able to confirm Cora's position on being a state's witness or not, but that looks like it's the same case. So it looks like we have a 2 against 3 situation going on here.
Right. And real quick, I do want to thank our mods that are here in the chat to keep the chat classy. You guys know my rules. Do not talk about other creators. Please be kind to each other. Be respectful of the case and to the panel members and to each other.
Yep.
We don't ever have that problem, but just in case, I said it anyway. So Paul was moved most likely for safety reasons. So I don't know if Cora will be or not.
Correct.
All right. So Cora's waiver of her preliminary hearing, that allows the case to move forward without challenging the evidence that the state might have at this stage. And it kind of suggests that Cora and Paul as well, obviously, are not contesting the initial evidence and they are open to negotiations with the state of Oklahoma. The waiver of speedy trial is just about the same thing. It provides more time for plea discussions with the prosecution, and it does kind of signal that the defendants may be cooperating with the DA and are preparing for a deal or a plea. And go ahead. Jump in anytime.
It also, a waiver of a speedy trial can also allow defense time to be sure their evidence is accurate, collecting evidence. And, in a case like this one, they may be waiving their right to a speedy trial to slow things down. So that is a possibility.
Very true. CB said, I think they can keep Cora safe. More room for women there.
Might be. So I understand, in looking at the jail situation, understanding what the environment looks like there, Paul's movement was a safety factor. It was a communication factor. There are, as Mark just pointed out, there are more males in the jail facility there in Guyman than there are females. And so keeping the isolation factor was a little bit more difficult. So moving him made more sense for protection purposes. As far as Cora's movement, we've not confirmed that. But to your point, Kari, there's less population in the women's side of it. And so they might be able to keep to the isolation factor that's necessary to protect this case. And if Cora has flipped, which we believe she has, then keeping communications to a minimal is more likely possible in the female side of the jail versus the men's side.
Right. Definitely. So what are the possible plea deal outcomes for Paul and Cora? Now, like I said, the last time, we're not attorneys. We're just basing this off general information. Please do your own research. But, I definitely am trying my best to put forth as accurate of information as possible at this time. So there's a few different outcomes, possible plea deals for Paul and Cora. The first would be, death penalty trial, the most severe punishment, typically reserved for the most culpable defendants. We know that this case does qualify for the death penalty. I don't think we're aware yet if the prosecution state is pushing that. Do you know anything about that, Tara?
I don't believe they're pushing it. I think what they're trying to do, and this is based on some rhetoric that I've received, some communications, it sounds like the DA is trying to pile on as many charges as possible to ensure life without parole, which means they stay the rest of their natural lives in jail. Also, and it's in looking at the laws in Oklahoma, it is much harder to appeal a plea deal versus a conviction. Mm-hmm. And so if they can pile on these charges, basically overwhelm the defense, and the defense realizes they have no way out, a plea deal is the only way to go, that's ideal because it keeps these people locked up permanently, but the death penalty would be off the table.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. So then the second option would be life without parole. That's a more realistic plea offer if they are cooperating with the DA, if this does indeed turn into a death penalty case. The third would be life with parole, rare, but possible if their involvement is minimal, which we do not believe Paul's to be, at least based on the documents filed so far, or if they provide critical testimony, which is what I think they're doing. That's probably why we've seen the new charges come forward. And then the fourth would be reduced charge to second-degree murder. That's possible only with strong cooperation, but I don't think that that's going to be the case here, especially since they were allegedly directly involved in the murder, at least as of now, Paul was, that we are aware of.
I would agree with that. Absolutely.
All right. And so the death penalty in Oklahoma, I'm just going over this just because I do think that probably will be on the table. But, I could be wrong. But Oklahoma has one of the highest execution rates in the United States. Death penalty cases in Oklahoma often involve aggravating factors such as kidnapping or torture during the commission of murder, multiple defendants conspiring to commit the crime. And then why are plea deals considered? And I know that's a lot of chatter in the group. They don't deserve a plea deal. And I understand that completely. But death penalty trials are extremely costly and time consuming. They also tend to involve a lot of appeals, which can make it very difficult for families to have to endure it over and over and never knowing what is actually going to be the end game here. So plea deals without or to life without parole can ensure justice while avoiding the uncertainties of the jury trial and what have you.
Agreed. Totally agree.
And then just quick facts, number of executions since 1976 in Oklahoma, 125 state executions and 1 federal. And then before 1976, there was 132. Currently, there are 34 on death row and 1 female. That's wild that there's so many men to women. The number of innocent people freed from death row, 11, and 7 clemencies granted. There is, and I haven't checked on it today, but there is or was a gentleman that's on death row here in Oklahoma, and the governor, I believe, and the DA are trying to get that overturned. He was set to be put to death. So I haven't looked at any further information, but that's really interesting. Things had come a long way since then. Look at the Mendoza brothers. That's another one that's pretty interesting with this going on.
At some point in time, I'd love to cover that one, given the twists and turns in that case, because that's one that we grew up with, Kari.
Yes. So when they're cooperating with the DA, Cora and Paul's testimony or evidence could implicate co-defendants, making the DEA more likely to offer a deal. I wonder, and this is just me thinking out loud, if with Cora talking, if there is a possibility that there might be charges for other people coming. It's just something that's always in the back of my head.
You know, that's been the rhetoric since the beginning of this whole thing. Once the arrests were made, there was a lot of people coming forward and since have been, continue to be, saying there are more arrests coming, there are more charges coming. And so I'm at this point, there's been enough people talking that way. I'm not going to be surprised. I feel like I'm ready to hear it.
That's how I feel about it too. So I do wonder if they've already got Paul talking, if Cora is going to be able to add more to that, that kind of seals the deal maybe on some others.
Yep.
Just a possibility. So. And then information on intent and conspiracy, which is a big thing in this case, sharing the detailed knowledge about the planning or the motivation behind the crimes increases the value that of Paul and Cora to the prosecution. So the more details they can share about what led up to these events, what went on behind the scenes, that maybe the DA possibly knows, just doesn't have quite the evidence, things like that. And then the prosecutorial incentives, cooperation can result in reduction in charges, or, as I said earlier, a life sentence instead of death. Factors that would influence plea deals, the aggravating factors, involvement in murder, kidnapping, or torture, which we have all of the above, strong public pressure for justice and severe punishment. I think we have that too. The mitigating factors, limited involvement or coerced participation. Are they going to possibly say that one person coerced them? Valuable confirmation or cooperation with the DA in implicating the co-defendants. And so the conclusion and takeaways just from that, like I said, is going to be very brief and short because we went in depth with Paul a couple of weeks ago. But the cooperation is essential to avoiding the death penalty. Life without parole is the most likely plea offer if they are to receive one for Paul and Cora. The public and victim family pressure can also influence the DA's decisions. And then their waivers suggest that they have ongoing negotiations for a plea deal. Anything you two have to add to that?
I would say that when you look at all of those things, it's really crazy to think about it, because obviously everybody wants them to, spend the rest of their life behind bars and all those kinds of things. And trust me, I'm on that side of the boat. But you also have to look at what it costs taxpayers in Oklahoma, and actually Oklahoma is much less than where I'm at in Kansas. It costs taxpayers approximately 22 grand a year per inmate. So, that can be thrown in. Thinking about that, that comes out of taxpayer pockets. So, how, and it depends on your own perception of this whole situation, how you want to view that. Is that worth it? Or
Right.
Or is it not? I mean, that's everybody's perception. I have my own personal opinion, which I'm not going to put that here.
Right.
But that's one way to throw it in. Oklahoma, cost per inmate in Oklahoma is right at 22.9 per year.
And is that just to house them, or is that go up when death penalty is involved?
That has nothing to do with death penalty. That's just day to day. Approximately $63 a day. Now in Kansas, adult, and I didn't even look up juvenile adult inmates in Kansas. It's 38,000.
Some people still aren't even making that much in a year. So that's wild that it's so expensive, and it's mostly the privatization of the prisons, but that's an awful lot of money.
In comparison, and I didn't look up Oklahoma. I could while you guys are talking, but in comparison, in Kansas, an adult over 18, it's $38,000 a year taxpayer money per inmate. We have approximately 9,000 inmates. Okay. Juvenile, there's 143. Every juvenile, it's 184,000 a year for a juvenile inmate. So, and I don't know what that is in Oklahoma for juvenile. I could look that up. But, when you're talking life in prison without parole, which, considering this type of crime, that's obviously, on the books. So is death penalty. But we also, especially since money is tight, you've got to look at it from another perspective. Just at least consider it. I mean, and I'm not saying arguing for their release by any means. I'm just saying that's something we need to take into consideration.
Definitely. Yeah, it's not as, I know a lot of people want to make it black and white and cut and dry, and it's just truly it's not that way. And I want to say real quick, thank you for Clint even being here. We really appreciate you. And Bianca, thank you for gifting that membership. All right. Now we're going to put Mark on the spot.
Bring it on.
All right. And so
Mark is with
this. Go ahead, Tara.
Oh no, you're good. I just jump in wherever there's a breath taken.
Finish your
So with Mark jumping in, it's super important that he is here and that Clint is in the chat with us, because the legalities, the legislation that follows cases like this are incredibly important, not just because they change the course of the laws and how things are handled, but they bring about awareness that might not otherwise be available, and they strengthen others who are trying to bring awareness to this case and keep the story out there, because the story doesn't stay where it should be enough of the time. So Mark and Clint, your efforts are incredibly valuable. So it's a very big thank you from Kari and I and others. I've talked to several family members, and the valiant efforts you guys are putting forth are, there's no words for it. So thank you very much for that.
Well, as I told you earlier, Clint and I and Clint's siblings, we've all been friends since we were 3 years old. I'm currently 50. And we've done high school together, life together, all kinds of craziness like that. So the minute this information broke, it quite literally took me to my knees way back when this first broke. And then the next thing was a rally to support Clint and family because, in the environment we grew up in, the time we grew up in, that's what you do.
That's right.
And this is and I grew up in Guyman. I grew up in the Panhandle. And this is what you do. And these are the things that I can contribute. So that's how we're rolling.
Yes. Yeah. He's very lucky to have you. I'm sure you both feel you're lucky to have each other. And like I was telling you earlier, it's so rare that friendships last that long these days. So that in itself is just amazing and wonderful. I love it. All right. So, and then I do have this scrolling on the bottom, you guys. Just to let you know, at the end of this, we're going to do call-ins. So you can call in, you can discuss the case with us, to an extent, like as always, like in the Facebook group, keep any theories and discussion based on what knowledge we have, the factual knowledge. We don't want to go off on some crazy theories and stuff. So let's just not do that. But we would love to hear your thoughts on it. And if Mark hangs around, if we don't run him off first, then maybe he'll take some of your questions too. So let's be nice to him. All right. So with that said, let me get over here. I have some questions for him. Go ahead.
John, dear John, I see you in the chat. I'm sorry you grew up there. Actually, I love growing up there. I would much rather move back there than live where I'm at. People were always like, "Oh, I don't like it here," and we were always like, "Fine, go away, bye."
That's how we feel about my town of 800 too.
Yeah.
All right, nobody told you had to stick around for sure.
Yeah.
I have to say, I'm in a metro area. My town's 25,000. The bigger metro, Wichita, is like, I don't know, 400, 500,000. I'm like, you are who again? I'm sorry. What? I didn't even see you here. Like, we didn't know you were here before. Why are you even talking? Nobody cares. Go away.
I live in Southwest Wichita. I live at the 31st and Seneca area. So
no kidding.
Yeah. So
I'm in Derby. That's awesome.
Oh, you're in Derby. Oh,
see,
I'm in Derby.
World.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I work in Hayesville. So.
Oh my God. We need to talk after this, Mark. I have information for you about that area.
You betcha.
Oh, and those in the chat, the previous minions, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That is awesome. Yes, we will fill Mark in. That's great.
Definitely. All right. So, Mark, what inspired you to propose Veronica and Jilian's law, and how did that idea take shape?
Well, obviously, the occurrence, the event, was one thing, but excuse me, sorry. The big thing is I started asking the question, is there or are there guidelines for custody exchanges when the environment is a contentious environment? I had custody exchanges with my ex-wife as well, but it wasn't really a contentious environment. We just took the kids go, but this type of environment's a little bit different. Well, a lot bit different.
Right. And all the signs were there too.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things was, okay, what resources, what avenues did they have to mitigate, prevent, whatever word you want to use. And did they know them? 2, did they have them? And 3, were those well communicated? Which I'm guessing the answer is no, no, and no. So that's part of this, is to get those things out there. But as I said in a earlier Facebook post, I want to get those things out there, but I also don't want to interfere and limit custody exchanges that aren't even in this ballpark.
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
want.
and you've been you've pointed that out. I know you've really tried to point out that that's not what this is going to try to do.
Right.
And so we'll get there. What specific challenges do you see with the current custody exchanges, and how do you want this bill to be able to address those issues?
Well, with current custody exchanges, I don't know that there are a lot of guidelines beyond guidelines that either are written into divorce paperwork or guidelines that each of the parties agree on, come up with, however you want to say that. If there are other guidelines, we're unaware of it. And that's part of what the research group is doing right now, is going through the statutes to find anything that might be related to or connect to what we're trying to do. Because a lot of times those kinds of things get buried in statutes and we don't know anything about it, or that knowledge gets, left by the wayside, because there may have been protocols out there and we just didn't know about them.
Right.
So, and
what,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. There's that delay, so I don't try to cut anybody off, but it seems like I always wind up doing it, so I apologize.
No worries.
What can you kind of briefly explain what the process looks like to get something like this started? And I say briefly, I know it's probably not that easy, but can you just kind of explain to people like us that don't know?
I will give you the Reader's Digest version,
Okay.
and I'll give you the abridged Reader's Digest version. Essentially, it's really as easy as contacting a legislator, and I say the word easy, use that very loosely, contacting a legislator in your state and saying, we need to look at, this specific cause or reason. And that legislator is going to want to know, why, because, if you suggest, well, we need to look at people throwing bubble gum on the sidewalk, but in a situation like this, the legislators that I spoke with were all like, yeah, what is in place? So, that's kind of where it comes from. So first, contact the legislator and say, we need to look into this. And then, we're in the process right now, because of when I proposed the bill, it was at the end of the last legislative session. So that session had to end. Now we're in an election year, so they have to go through the election before they can submit a bill. And we're also waiting on the research team, the state level research team, to come together. So there's some slow moving process that happens. And that's why I periodically do a legislative update in the group, because I don't want people to feel like we've forgotten about or, just let it drop. It's just legislative process is very slow moving, especially in a case like this where we don't, we're going to do everything we can to not make mistakes. We want to close as many loopholes as possible. So it's a process that takes a little time. And I can tell you, it also takes time for the representatives in Kansas. They are working in cooperation with the representatives in Oklahoma, and they have now pulled in the representatives from New Mexico. So,
oh, wow.
So those three states, that will take a little time as well. And they are also trying to get connections in Texas. So it'll eventually, one of our state senators has heard of the bill or heard of the movement. So, not state senator, I'm sorry. One of our federal level senators has heard of the bill and is watching the movement. So, it's a
That's
good thing.
wonderful. So are the different states involved because they want to try to put this legislation through in those states as well? Is that why the other involvement?
Yes, they are. This, I tell people all the time, like a crime like this, especially of this magnitude, it's like throwing a rock into a pond. You throw a rock in the pond and you start to see these waves that come out. Well, eventually those waves affect everybody around. Well,
Definitely.
now everybody, all the states are going, hey, wait a minute. Do we have that on our books? What do we have? They're all starting to introspect, ask questions about what do we have? Wait a minute. Let's take a look at that. And interestingly enough, it's a small world because a lot of those legislators all know each other. So, from the different states, they go to, different conferences, conventions, whatever it is. So they all know each other. So they get on the phone and say, hey, you probably saw this on the news. We're doing XYZ, and just kind of going from there. So
that's wonderful. So that kind of answers my next question for the most part, but can you share any details about any existing laws in Oklahoma that even partially address this issue of custody and meeting up, and how, if there, well, I'll let you answer that part first.
The first part of that is, until research comes back, I don't know. I don't know of anything, and maybe somebody that's listening or watching this or whatever may know more than I do. But that piece in Oklahoma and even in Kansas or New Mexico, I don't know. And that's one reason why I brought this forward was, wait a minute, what things are in place to ensure the safety or, of custody exchanges?
I have to say, one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about what you're doing and have been so interested in learning more is I've covered quite a few cases where this has been at the root of it. And it's so sad for everybody to see something that could be prevented. Not that this might have prevented it in Veronica and Jilian's case, but it absolutely would help prevent it in many other cases that I've seen.
Well, and one thing that I'll bring up, and it's I don't know if it hit national news, but it really caused a wave around here. And Terry, you probably heard of this. Just in the last few weeks, we had a domestic situation in front of a grade school here in Wichita, and the guy shot his wife in the chest, point blank, boom, right there in front of the grade school while kids were coming into school in the morning. So, there are a lot of things, and I don't even think that was a custody situation. That I don't know what that was total, but there are domestic incidents like that it doesn't matter what the law is, it's not gonna help. But we're hoping that this, the situation that we're all talking about here, we're hoping that we can do something.
Yeah, definitely something for sure, because I really don't think that there is anything like that in Oklahoma, at least. And I've lived in multiple states that I don't think that it was there either. So I'm really glad that the other states surrounding us are kind of looking into it and helping, with this. So if this bill is passed, which I would think it would be, but where would these safe public exchange locations be established?
That is,
could places like police stations or schools be used? Is that something that gets proposed in the bill?
It could. However, being a former school administrator, I would say that I don't know that I would want a contentious custody exchange to happen on my school grounds. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one for a little bit. But like here in Kansas, there are convenience stores. QT is denoted as a safe place, and
Yeah.
um, there's cameras around, and there's other resources there. Um, I think really the big thing would be that during the process of this bill, and we welcome any input on this. Um, Obviously a public place with cameras, with people around, that type of thing would be more of a plausible type of exchange. But that's something that will also come with, um, as the bill develops, how we figure out where those places are.
Definitely. Annette just said Colorado does it at a police or a safe house. Yeah, police stations are used quite a bit.
Now
There
in
was
Kansas,
there
in Kansas, you can during the divorce proceedings, you can identify a specific location for transfer of the children. In most cases, oftentimes that is a police station, a local police station, depending on which parent lives where, who's dropping off, who's picking up. I can tell you, and as always, Mark, as Kari and I do these lives, we get messages out the wazoo as we're doing this, which is why I'm trying to go back and forth. So if you see me looking off to the side, it's because I'm getting some messages. And I was reminded by somebody that is in our chat that won't speak up in the chat. They're in the background. We have a lot of background folks. That the law that you guys are working on, there's a specific reason for it, because there was requests made in this particular situation in regards to Veronica, that the request was made to have a specific location, a safe space, so to speak, to transfer the children back and forth. And Tiffany denied that vehemently in court. She denied that control factor, which is what led to where we're at today. But without that control factor, without that opportunity, it left Veronica very vulnerable, though she knew it to a point, I'm sure, but not to
Yeah.
this extent, probably.
Well, and that's part of the bill that I want to make sure is in there, that if there's a disagreement from one side or the other, then okay, what happens next? There's another step. Or, and the fact that she's requested those types of things over and over, there has to be another step. Okay, she's requested it, that's gone unanswered. Okay, then I don't request to this person now. What's the next step? Because there's got to be something that has some layers in it, and I don't want to get it too convoluted. But when somebody's making a request and it gets ignored, there's got to be an alternative course of action. Because
Absolutely.
and
Yes.
I don't, like I said, I don't know what that is yet. That's where part of the research comes in, but that's that's part of it. Is okay, if the two disagree, how do we resolve this? What's the next step?
True.
So
will the bill, I'm sorry, Tara, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. I had somebody text in that said they had an ex who had supervised visitation for 20 plus years, and this is in Oklahoma. Family and friends, and this particular parent were these supervisors, and so that was their agreement. The family, friends, and this individual were the supervisors to the other parents' visitation opportunities. So I think that goes to the point, and I know they're listening so they can correct me. I think this person's situation goes to the point it's possible to have a safe space, to have an area with people that you can depend on and feel good about, with your children being there with the other parent if there's a situation to be concerned about. But in Veronica's case, there was some, for lack of a better word, and law enforcement can come correct me on a burner phone if they want to, or in private, there was some corruption. There was some issues here that prevented Veronica from being safe, obviously.
And
And that's the thing, is this is not a typical situation that Veronica went through, which is why this law is so important. And I just got corrected. The point was there's no state guidelines. That's that's the actual point there. There's no state guidelines. That's what we're trying to prove here with the law.
There it is. There it is. And see, that's the thing is, yeah, there was some wishy-washy things going on. I out of control of, Veronica, Jilian, that whole situation. There were some other things, by what I understand. Now, let me preface that with, from what I understand, it seems like things weren't quite what they needed to be. Now, as I said, I don't get into all of that kind of stuff, but from my point of view, that's what it seemed like. But that's the whole point of this bill, is to say, okay, if this happens, X, Y, Z. If this happens, X, Y, A, B, C. And there's protocol that comes out, because as you just pointed out, they don't know of any, or there isn't any, and that's scary. that is really scary. I saw a question, and at this point, it's way back up in the chat. Someone asked, who is the representative on the national level?
Yes.
That is Representative Roger Marshall here in Kansas. He is his assistant, Katie Sawyer. I don't know what her exact title is, but they are keeping an eye on what's going on. So they haven't made any promises or actions or anything like that, but they're aware of what is going on.
That's a good thing.
That's great.
Yeah, Roger Marshall doesn't play around with this kind of thing. He's very family friendly. He does not. He's that's exciting to hear that he's got his eye on this. Actually, very exciting.
How do you, Mark, envision compliance of it being enforced? Because I know that's a big question for a lot of people. How will they enforce something like this? Then will there be penalties if those people fail to meet, at a designated location?
See, and that's the piece that will take a little bit. First of all, as you said, with Veronica making those requests, part of the research will be looking into this case and seeing what requests were made and assistance was made, a request for assistance in the custody exchange. That will have influence in the bill. But yeah, the enforcement, that's another piece. How do we enforce it? But yes, there needs to be some type of consequences, because if there aren't any consequences, there's no point in the bill.
Right.
Because it's like I used to teach in my street law class, that's part of the rule of law. If I say, if I say we can't use the word in a podcast, and we all use the word and there's no consequence for it, what's the point of the law?
Right.
So,
yes.
So, the same thing with this. If we set up custody exchanges, the enforcement of it, the monitoring, the enforcement, and the consequences are going to be a piece of it. And I think another one, one thing we'll probably get to is, are there other groups involved? Yes. There are other, like, domestic violence groups and things that have already come forward and said that they want to have input on, what's going on. And we're talking state level. There are local domestic violence groups, and there are state level groups and I can't tell you names because I don't know the names at this moment. I just know that they exist, and they've come forward and said, hey, when this really, when the rubber hits the road, we want to be there, and we're all for it.
Definitely. Which kind of leads into my next question too. Have you received support so far? And I know you're still in the kind of planning and building stages, but have you received support from, for instance, family courts, law enforcement, child advocacy groups, things like that? Or
For
are we there
sure.
yet?
Well, yes and no. Part of those organizations that I just talked about, one of those, if I remember correctly, is a child advocacy group. There is a domestic violence group. Um, so yes, there are some, but I would imagine when this really starts to roll, there will be more.
Yeah,
And
I do too.
that's great. We way back when we started this whole thing, we started a list of people who have expressed interest in um, having a say and having input, and that kind of thing. So and so we've been keeping track of a list, and I don't even keep track of that list anymore. That's on the state level because it's gotten crazy, which is a good thing. I mean, that's a good thing, but that's beyond my scope now.
Have you read, heard, or received like responses from parents or families directly affected by unsafe exchanges like this?
Yes. And much like Tara just read, um, when we first started talking about this in the Facebook group, um, there were people who came forward and said, make sure this happens or that happens, because when in my situation, these things occurred, and there was a lot of things that I hadn't thought about, and I was like, oh, so I took notes on those and sent them on to the representative, simply because that's one thing that, one of the greatest resources is the individuals who have been in that situation. And because there's a lot of things that we don't know what we don't know. Like I said, I was in a custody exchange, but my ex, yeah, it was contentious, but it wasn't like that. It was just sarcastic comments, and
Right.
it wasn't anywhere close to this level, not even in the neighborhood. But in fact, Clint knows my ex, so he can vouch for that. But
Clint, text me. I want to hear. Text me. I want to hear.
Yeah, we want the juice.
We want the juice. We want the tea.
No, I'm not doing that on social media.
I don't need you to get that information. Do you not know who we are? We can find out. We don't need you. Hello.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure you can dig it up, because there's probably people in the chat that were around then.
I was going to say, we have not revealed everything we know yet, with good reason. We are strategists as we are sleuths.
And you should be.
We would never.
As you should be.
We just need to get paid to do it so I can quit my daytime job, just for those of you who are curious, by the way. And have some deep pockets help.
Yeah.
Now, how long does it usually take? And I'm asking this because I'm really dumb to all this. And I just find it fascinating. But how long do you know? Is there a typical length of time that it takes from start to finish and getting a bill like this passed?
The word typical, it's like
it's like government.
It's like saying the word normal. Normal's a dryer setting. For example, a colleague and I have been presenting at the state 2 years. I didn't present this last year, but 2 years over a career and technical education certification bill. And it's taken 2 years of all kinds of craziness to get it passed through. So It depends on the bill. When our, like, for example, that certification bill, it went through the House unopposed. It was like however many people voted to 0. No one opposed it. So, and it's really hard to say. I mean, sometimes things can fly through. Sometimes it's a little bit of time. But one thing that gives it weight, and you hear this all the time, contact your local representative, yada, yada. There's a lot of truth in that. And especially if you get big ball players, you get like domestic violence organizations, or you get, people that have a lot of clout and a lot of weight saying, hey, take a strong look at this, then things move along a little faster. But it honestly, to cycle back to the answer to your question, it really depends. It really does.
Yeah, nothing is fast. I know a few of you know that I'm kind of trying to work on something as well, and I've waited a week just to get a price from a state representative. So I mean, I'm thinking I could pop that email in 5 minutes, but they don't work that way. So
they don't. Yeah,
patience is a thing.
No, correct.
Yeah.
Well, and that patience can lead to frustration, right? Because I'm getting messages from folks, and one of the things, and this is, I believe, Kansas related, when it comes to these civil matters, because in the eyes of law enforcement, that's the police department, state troopers, wherever you are located at, these exchanges are considered to be civil matters, not criminal matters, which is why law enforcement doesn't have much jurisdiction. This goes back to family court, which is why welfare checks are not common. You can have a concern, but they don't necessarily have to do a welfare check. And we know that because that's actually part of this situation. I'm going to wait on that a little bit before I go into that, but that was part of the situation. There was a welfare check requested, and it was denied because that is not law enforcement's swim lane, we'll put it. And this is an unrelated matter to this situation. It's adjacent. There was a welfare check that was requested, and this is between, you've got half of the situation for this individual in Kansas, and the other half is in Oklahoma, and Kansas asked for a welfare check, and Oklahoma said, sorry about you. That is not for us to worry about. We're not helping you.
That's a problem.
We'd love to, but we can't. That is such a problem. Like, because they do welfare checks. I know that the city of Derby and the city of Wichita will do welfare checks if you believe somebody has passed away in their home. But when it comes to these matters, these family issues where there's a divorce decree or parenting plan, that changes the narrative significantly, unfortunately. And we learned that the hard way with this one.
And what's interesting, and I am very pro law enforcement, as I was law enforcement at one time. Like here in the city of Wichita is the largest city in Kansas, and they are short, I think it's like 20 officers or something, the last time I heard. For example, my wife and I got into an accident just down the street. We were T-boned, boom. But fortunately enough, we were not injured. So in Wichita, if it's a non-injury accident, you swap information. You go to the local police patrol station and you file a report. And then an officer follows up with you. So, it's because of a lot of different situations, it's you have to be proactive yourself. But the point with the civil and criminal, yes, that's exactly right. Contentious custody exchanges are a civil case because it's person versus person. It's not person versus state, which makes it a criminal case. So until a crime happens, violence between those two people or something like that, it's a civil case. And
So just to your point, that's why divorce and domestic situations are very different. Domestic violence is the state filing charges. That's why in
yeah,
Kansas, and Kari, I think you've told me this applies in Oklahoma too. In a domestic violence situation, when law enforcement is called out in the state of Kansas on a domestic violence situation, somebody's going to jail. Somebody. The cops don't care who, but somebody
Almost
has to
always.
go.
Yeah.
because
Yes.
because a domestic violence situation, a crime has been
Criminal
committed.
act. Yes,
Yes.
yes. But in divorce cases, I don't want them in my home it's basically an eviction notice. It's a glorified, well-detailed eviction notice as to who can take whose property where.
Yep.
Which is why when you have these situations with parental issues and you say, hey, and I know this because I did have now that I think about this, and at some point it'll come out on the shenanigans trial, I did have an issue with this with my ex at one point because he was a cop. He still is. And there was some concerns because he brought another cop to my home to talk. And I'm like, you came here to bully me. Like, we're not talking. And there was a few times where I said, if you want to see your children, you'll go to the police department and you'll switch with me so I feel safe. Made him mad because he was actually arrested by that police department. So he was not happy, but he minded his manners because that's the only way I could.
Yeah.
It was a threat, but the police department did not know, nor would they care that we were out there switching. But that's what people do. They use that as a threat, but it's an empty threat because there's nothing they can do unless a criminal act takes place where the state can file charges, which is why the state has filed charges in this particular case against the two women that were attacked. It's not about the custody. It's about the criminal act itself, but it was driven by the custody issue.
But yeah, I mean, that's just it. Is you will find police officers that will be proactive and assist in a custody. You know, they're using what we call level 1 use of force, presence, where they will assist in an exchange or somebody getting out of a house to try to prevent something from happening. But in so many cases, if every officer did that, that's all they would be doing all day, every day. So, you know, it's officer discretion on how that happens. So, you know, it's difficult because officers, their hands are tied in so to speak. There's certain situations where they're not allowed to do that because of, you know, whatever situation. So it makes it difficult. But going back to your question, that's where the tricky part of this wording comes in. How do we supervise that? And where do the consequences come? Case in point, they were going to a house to drop it off. The incident happened in transit, not at one place or the other.
Yes.
So there's another twist to the bill. How does in transit play in? How, you know, there's pieces that people smarter than me need to talk about, and, you know, people that have more experience in this type of thing. But like, for this incident didn't happen at a location. Well, it did, but it was in transit to the intended location. So,
correct. And that probably also my next question: what obstacles are you facing? And I imagine that is going to be one, is how is that to be worded properly? But as at this point, are there any obstacles that you foresee or that you've already incurred?
Well, one of the big ones, and somebody mentioned it in the chat earlier, I saw it. I'm sorry if I don't mention people's names. I have MS, so my short-term memory is like, I'm like, oh,
you're
squirrel.
Good.
You know,
you're good. Just keep going.
That's me too.
You're awesome.
I'm like, ooh, something.
Yeah, and
shiny.
she doesn't have anything going on with her. She's just naturally that way. So you're good.
Yes, I am.
But we love her, adore her.
If you have MS and you know somebody, I have a phenomenal neurologist. Anyway, back to what we were talking
shameless
about.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. See, now I can't even remember what I was. Somebody. Oh, yes, I remember. Wow, check it out. I remember something. Um, somebody made the comment, "How do we protect the supervisors?" or
Yeah.
something to that effect, and that was a great question because Jillian was technically supervising the exchange. So that's another part, and that would be one of the obstacles is if there's somebody along for a supervised exchange, how do we, I can't really say ensure the safety, but how do we look out for the safety for the person supervising the exchange? Don't know. That's, like I said, that's where people smarter than me come in. So it's one of those things where we just have to figure it out.
Yeah. I
And it
think we'll
needs to be
get there
figured
though.
out.
Yeah.
It has to be figured out. The
Yep.
when we like, so we've got another channel, the Shenanigans channel. We talk about the things that nobody wants to talk about anywhere else. We bring them up there, and parenting is the current discussion series that we have. And one of the intros that I wrote was, never do you hear anybody proclaim or assert, I want to get married so I can have a reckless divorce with a terrible, awful, ugly custody battle. That is my adulthood
Right.
goal. That is what I want.
Hey, it was
Nobody
mine.
plans for this, right? I mean, nobody plans for that. They don't. Veronica and Jillian did not get into their situation because that's what they wanted. That's what
Right.
was given to them. They
Right.
didn't ask for that. And that's, nobody goes into parenthood with the goal of having difficulties and challenges. That's the extreme opposite of what's trying to happen. So this law that you're trying to put forth is extremely important in trying to maintain the decorum and the self-control. If it wasn't necessary, then divorce laws wouldn't be necessary, right? This is a domino
Right.
effect that should have been handled way long ago.
And another obstacle is, Terry, your conversation right there made me think of this. Another obstacle is when this passes, the obstacle is how do we get the information out? How do we get the information out in a true and accurate form, and it's out to anybody who needs it, male, female, whatever, whoever's in that type of relationship, they all need to know this. But how do we, what's the word? How do we execute with fidelity? Yeah, that's the, but that's one of the obstacles is communicating after it becomes law.
Right.
Yes.
And how can the public, such as ourselves, as people watching, other advocates, victims' rights advocates, things like that, what, if anything, can we do to help?
Oh man, as
Everything.
everything. Yeah. I mean, you could stand out on your porch and hold up a sign. I mean, but probably the most effective thing right now is to reference this case, and I hate to sound like bumper sticker, but do find out who your representative is, who your state senator is, and send them information, send them an email and say, and if you have personal experience with this type of thing, say, I'm in support of this bill that will be coming, and here's why, and don't get really wordy and all that kind of stuff, but say, I've been through this XYZ, and that's one of the biggest things is to, and it sounds so cliche, but yes, get a hold of your senator, congressman, mayor, basically anybody that'll listen, because
Correct.
every town has, divorces. Every town has a contentious relationship in it. Some are better at hiding it than others, but every single town has one. I guarantee you. There's no Stepford wives going on here. So
Right.
so the biggest thing is to get the info out there, and get it out to decision makers.
Great.
So
So
that's
that is something everybody, you sitting here in the chat, everybody that says that we want justice for Veronica and Jilian, that means you should be opening up your email tomorrow, writing a letter, doing something. I did drop the link for the Oklahoma representatives in the chat. If you're unsure, you can go to that link and find your representative. But I think that what Mark is saying is very important. It definitely takes, a tribe and lawmakers to know that this is something that we desperately want and that it's coming from a whole lot of people. And that's where change is made.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I used to work in, this is the silliest thing of all things. I used to work in homeowners associations. I used to manage them professionally. And a law went through, a law in Kansas went through about HOAs of all things. HOAs, the simplest, dumbest, bottom of the barrel things, right? There's just, there's the value added is minimal by comparison. And if that law got through, and I know that law by heart, it has been like 12, 14, 15 years since that law went through, but because it impacted the way I worked, I knew that law by heart. I still know it to this day. And I am, while y'all are judging, just know I'm the president of my HOA. So take that into consideration as you are.
Somebody boot her. Get her out of here.
Yeah. Honey, you're the only one with that power.
I would be an HOA's nightmare.
I am a good one. I'm a good one. I will go into that on leather shenanigans. But that law went through. If a simple law like HOAs, where they can tell you when to communicate with your community and how you do it, if that kind of law can go through and it's minimal, the impact does not make near the difference that a law like this does. And at least by statistical standards, at least 50% of us are divorced in this chat, that are listening and have had to go through. Yep, me too, twice over. So I probably trump you on that one, Mark.
Nope. Right,
nope, we're equals. We are.
And I'm staying out of this one.
Awesome. She's an overachiever. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, I'm an overachiever.
She's an overachiever. That's how we put that. But for reals, when you have something, if you can get an HOA law passed, that is nothing more than inform your people X amount of days before you have a meeting, then going into something more important is extraordinarily crucial, that you speak up and talk to your mayor, who will tell you who your district representative is, who will tell you who your senator is, who your state representative is, who your, all the way to the governor, which you should probably know that, but no judgment. But these are the individuals that when you write in, not once, not twice, but as many times as it takes to squawk into their ear and make it clear that this is important, they will contact you. And networking is huge. And if you're not sure how to do that, find somebody who does. Find somebody who knows. Petitions are beautiful things. They do amazing. They're extraordinary pieces of power if you can get petitions going, because they do speak for the masses.
And
Tara, they're coming at you in the chat, by the way. Tara's probably the freaking mayor too. Can't be friends with you anymore.
I'm not the mayor. I'm just the president of my HOA, but I am not a Karen. I am the most laid back president. I'm pretty sure I ticked all my Karens and Kins are quiet, because I'm like, yes, keep talking. By all means, keep complaining.
That's too funny.
What have you done for your neighborhood lately? Like, I turned into a Janet Jackson song. So just, I'm glad you caught that. Nobody else will.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, yeah. But, yeah, and that's the thing I was going to say is have the guts to get a hold of your national level people.
Yes.
And just the fact that they've heard of it. If they say, oh, well, give you the standard copy and paste email, thank you for your contact, blah, 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 blah. Somebody in that office has heard of it. So down the road, when this comes along, they can go, hey, wait a minute. We've received several emails on da, 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 da. And so I send emails to federal level all the time. Doesn't bother me at all. I mean, they just like my dad used to say, they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like you do.
Right. Yeah. What's the worst that's going to happen? Prairie Sage is asking Mark. I don't think he has a website, Prairie Sage, but she's asked if you're on social media.
Yeah, I've been
She's
asked if you've got a
local.
YouTube channel too. People want to find you.
Okay.
If people want to reach out to you about this, or if they can help in any way, how's best for them to get a hold of you? Email or?
I have a Facebook page. I don't, Kari, I think, are you on my Facebook? I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
You could just send the link out because I'm not in the chat. I'm not, but yeah, I have a Facebook page. I have a TikTok too. I don't even remember what the ad is.
You don't.
Yeah. But actually, I have one for my job too. And because I do adult education, you'd be surprised how many people are in on it. But let me see if I can get you the address for my personal one. I don't want to throw my business one out.
Yeah, and also he is in the Facebook group. So if you're in our and everybody here is, so if you just go in the search in our group and type in Mark's name, it'll pull up, and then you can message him directly from there.
If you're interested in TikTok, my TikTok is at mark.calvin1, and you can put that in the chat. I just post little goofy, helpful, thought-provoking stuff. I don't do anything crazy or stupid or anything like that. So yeah, mark.calvin1. Yep.
Perfect. And thank you for that, Prairie Sage. Good question. Birdie's Crime Chat wants to know, is there a link or a document for the law that you're trying to get passed?
Not yet. Not yet, but there will be. And Kari and Tara, I'll make sure you guys know of it when it does come out. Like I said, right now we're waiting on research to get back with this. So it's all brainy right now. It's all.
Now, when you say research, just because I'm curious, is this like our representatives and stuff that are doing research into, I'm assuming, the cases, how many cases we've had that this would apply? I don't know, things like that. Is that
okay, here's something that a lot of people don't know, and I just learned this over the last few years, even though I taught social studies for a bazillion years. On the federal level and on the state level, when you get into legislation, there are people that do the legal wording. They actually write the wording. They specialize in that. There are also people who do the research, which means they go out and look at existing statutes, amendments, all those kinds of things. So when we say that we're waiting on research, there are a core of people on the state government level that are collecting information from previous statutes, previous, state Supreme Court, federal Supreme Court, anything that has to do with this type of topic. And they'll collect all that information, put it into some type of sensible report, and then give it to the legislators for them to make a decision. So like I said, when we say research, it's not the actual representative or senator. They have there's a core of people that's what they're paid to do. So
good to know.
So like I said, there's a core of people that when you see a bill or something that comes out, and especially if you see one and there's numbers down the side, those numbers they're numbering the line. So when they go to the bill, they can say, Senate Bill 408, page 1, line 86, or whatever it is. That way they can get to a specific point in the bill. Gotcha. But that's where all that kind of stems from.
Interesting. How do you think, well, first of all, what is the current status of the bill?
Right now, it's in the research. We're trying to get all the facts together. We don't want to jump out there and say, hey, let's make this bill. And we don't have research for any type of precedent. Maybe if you don't know what precedent is, it's something that's come before. If it's a law that's already on the books that relates to this, that would be a precedent. So, or if a Supreme Court makes a law, so they need to find out if all of that's what exists and doesn't exist, and then we move from there.
Gotcha. So it's at the research stage, and that's fine. That's what we need.
Yep.
How do you think, and we're calling this Veronica and Jilian's law for now, but how do you think that Veronica and Jilian's law could impact family law nationwide? And do you envision it eventually being adopted by other states?
How can it, first question, how can it affect family law nationwide? Well, as we referenced earlier, one way is there's not a single, well, I can't say it that way. There's not a, what's the word I want to use? There's not a scarcity.
Careful.
There's not a scarcity on custody issues in divorces.
Boy, I mean, that's the truth.
I mean, just between two of us here, there was 4 divorces. So, so there's not a scarcity on that type of thing happening. So how will it affect family law? That anything I would say would be speculation, but it would allow the different parties in those cases to have some type of tool to use, some type of guide to use when it comes to custody exchanges, when it comes to that type of thing. And what was the second part of your question? I'm sorry.
Do you envision it being adopted by other states? Like, is that something that you think you may move forward with eventually?
Yes. I think, as well as we've talked about, Kansas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico Kansas and Oklahoma are much farther along with considering it than maybe New Mexico is. But I think it's like, when you talk about building a snowball, it starts small and then it starts to roll, and other states will go, hey, wait a minute, and it'll cause a lot of people to look inward and go, yeah, what would what would happen if fill in the blank. So do I think it'll go national? Eventually, yes. Will it take a few years? Yes. Because
we're patient. So we'll be there behind you every step of the way, and absolutely help with anything that we can. Somebody is outing you in the chat real quick though, Mark. It appears they found your TikTok and saving the last drop of Lysol sanitizer.
Oh yeah. That's a good one. I just discovered that one. And
what again? Say that what?
Okay, the Lysol
put that message.
Yeah,
Mark
Lysol sanitizer. Yeah.
What about it? What are you doing with it?
Okay. When you put the sanitizer,
clearly,
funny.
Are you huffing it? What are you doing with it? Are you getting high off a sanitizer? What are you doing with it?
Quiet. Don't tell everybody.
Mark's coming back for more. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No. The Lysol sanitizer that goes into your washing machine. When you get down to the bottom, it's got that little pour spout in there, and you can't get all of it out. If you stick your finger down in there, you can pop that piece out, pour the rest of it out, which there's just about enough for a load. You can pop that piece out. And that's all that, like I said, the my little TikTok videos are kind of nonsensical like that. It's just, hey, check this out. I discovered this. fabric softener, poke a hole in the side and drain out the rest, because it's got that same little thing in there, only most of them you can't pull out. So I mean,
interesting. Your TikTok's going to blow up tonight because everybody's broke these days, and we're all going to be swarming your TikTok to look for money saving ideas.
Well, and honestly, my other TikTok is, the other one is really about resources. It's about having, different resources to help different people, and that's I do a thing called Fast Friday, and that's all it is a collection of resources and stuff, because I've got a website that everything from educational to social services to all that stuff, it's all in there. So it's I guess I will go ahead and tell you what the other TikTok is. It's at Hayesville LC, and I do a Fast Friday every Friday. So.
Nice. I would have never thought you to be on TikTok. Tara, we got to up our game. We're behind here.
Well, I'm hearing it. Trust me, on the shenanigans. Trust me, I'm in trouble, and now you're in trouble.
All I do on TikTok, I watch animal videos, and let me tell you, I'll get started watching one of them animal videos, and 3 hours later, I'm still watching dumb animal videos.
Dude, that is no joke, and half of them are her own.
They're her own story stuff. In fact, somebody told me today, Kari, you need to start a TikTok with your animals, because I got like little chickens. I mean, I got a little of everything. I'm working on more too. So
there is
she's like a refuge for livestock and farm animals. That's what she like, refugee style type stuff.
Hey,
like this is.
I love animals.
Most people have addictions, and we know hers. It's farm related.
Hey, all of our cats are all rescue cats. So
that's wonderful.
We have 3, but we have one that's polydactyl,
Aww.
But with that at Hayesville LC TikTok, there's actually a website that has literally hundreds of different resources on it.
Oh wow.
It's called resourceman. Resourceman.sdac.org. resourceman.essdack.org.
And if one of the mods will put that in the chat, I'd really appreciate that.
And all it is resources. It's just to help people out, and that's all it is. So
C Lane wants to know, do you have a list of state contacts who may be interested in the bill, or is that something that we could compile possibly?
Once again, I can't. I'm not in the chat. Representative Poskin, Marilyn Poskin, is heading up the bill, and that's here in Kansas.
Okay.
And honestly, in Oklahoma, I feel bad. I cannot remember the guy's name. I can't remember, but Representative Marilyn Poskin is the one in Kansas that's really spearheading what's going on there. So that's in as far as other representatives, she has contacts. She's kind of taken it on that level. I don't mess with that part. I'm more of a boots on the ground type of thing.
Clint wants to know, how much tape have you put on your cat's feet, Mark?
I haven't done that.
That's not fair, because Clint already knows the answer. That's not fair. He's just trying to out Mark at this point. Which, Clint, by the way, I love you for that. Thank you.
I
invite Mark and Clint to shenanigans. This is awesome.
Oh, you don't know half the. Oh, wow. Yeah.
That is why you need to come to shenanigans, because we do the stuff there we can't do here.
Yeah. Yeah. One time we had a cat. Oh, I had a cat, and the cat's name was Defo. The cat's name was Defo because it had
for what?
Deformed.
I'm scared.
Well, simply because, and Clint will back this up. The cat it was a normal sized cat body. It had this little bitty head and this gigantic tail. I mean, the tail was like twice as long. And I was I was trying to come up with a name, and my friend, one of our other friends, Jerry, he said, "Oh, let's call the cat. Let's call the cat Defo." So the cat's name was Defo.
That's too funny.
You guys are your own Beetlejuice movie at this point. Like that's a shrunken head cat with a long tail. Like that is.
Oh,
Oh
you
my
should.
gosh.
Oh, we should be on Shenanigans sometime.
If you
could,
if you know what Shenanigans is, you're definitely coming on. That's without a doubt.
I can tell you.
Oh
well,
my gosh.
and the tape on the cat's paw. we're sitting around. We're bored. We're high poverty, high trauma kids. We're sitting around. We're bored. So we set traps.
I know what that means. That's a lot of alcohol and a lot of hold my beer.
That was later.
Later, my ass. You guys invented that.
We took Scotch tape and laid it. I had green and gold shag carpet in my house. Yeah. I put Scotch tape. We laid Scotch tape sticky side up on the floor, hoping the cat would walk by and step on it. And yeah, went from there. Wow, this conversation has completely digressed.
Yeah, somebody just said the things you learn on Kari Moody. You never know.
Yeah.
It's the ugliest thing ever.
Yeah, it was that poor cat. Yeah.
Ugliest thing. Oh my God, Clint, that's hilarious.
And Chana, I'm going to throw you under the bus. I grew up with her too.
So her name is Chana. I keep screwing that up, and she stopped talking to me because I'm pretty sure because she thinks I'm stupid. I don't blame her. It's a common theme with people.
Her dad.
You don't want him shenanigans? Yes, I do, Chana. I absolutely fucking do now.
Yeah. I heard her dad shot me through a storm door with a BB gun in the hand. Boom. Yep, for sure.
Oh, this. Kari, this is we are going to shenanigans.
We're going left and south quick.
Okay. One more thing and I'm going to shut up. Her dad could tie his shoes with one hand. Never figured out how he did it.
All right. For the ladies in the chat, this perked up a lot of ladies in the chat. I'm telling you right now, maybe some guys too, but mostly women. We have questions. And we need to learn some things. I'm just saying. We have I'm very interested in knowing this individual. That's all I'm saying. Sorry, Chana. I appreciate you, but honey, we have things to learn. I didn't know that was possible with one hand.
We need to talk. Hit us up on Messenger.
I can tell you.
We need the tea.
Her dad was awesome. I mean, but
I bet. Man. So yeah, Mark, tell us about how awesome he was.
Easy. I'm not going there.
Oh, but sir, you're coming. You and Chana and Clint are all coming to shenanigans with. Oh my God, Kari. We need to get Katie in on this kind of conversation. Oh my God,
right?
I'm just.
Debbie wants to know Mark's TikTok Addy again. I'll put that in the description of the video. That way, you guys can go back and look at it real easy and
then. While you're on that, on the bottom, guys, don't forget there's a number at the bottom, and it's been in the chat a couple times. If you guys want to call in and share your thoughts on this whole thing, maybe not the most recent conversation. We'll do shenanigans on that one. Well, clearly, there's a boundary we're trying to respect. We're not doing a very good job at that, but that's what happens with people like me in the room. But if there's things you want to share about this particular case, especially with the law that Mark and Clint are working on, call in. And that goes for any individuals who are closely interested in this kind of situation. It's always good to hear from others. So,
yes. And I do have one last question for Mark. If this law passes, which I do think it will, I think it's amazing that you took the initiative to do this. And what follow-up actions or related legislation would you like to see after that? Is there anything?
Well, and that's one where I'm kind of an open book because I know there's other things. And the research and the work behind this will bring to light and open doors to things that didn't know exist. Like I said earlier, we don't know what we don't know. And ladies and gentlemen who have been, excuse me, who have unfortunately been in that type of situation, there are things that we don't know, but they can say, hey, think about this. You know,
Right.
that's why I'm saying, please talk to your legislators. I know that's bumper sticker advice, but in this situation, please do.
Yeah, and if anybody wants help with that, you're unsure, you can message myself or even Tara on Facebook. You can email me. The email address is in the description of all the videos, and I'm more than happy to help you do that. And I know that we too will do the same thing. And real quick, Becky said, just jumping on, been celebrating my 53rd birthday today. Happy birthday, Becky.
Happy birthday. I was just saying that in the chat.
I'm 3 behind you. I'm at the 5-0.
Me too.
Yay.
We don't talk about
I'm
that.
a few behind you. Yes, we do. Stop it. You look amazing for 50. Shush. You look awesome for 50. You're curvy for 50, but awesome for 50.
Awesome.
You always got to throw that in there.
I mean, good Lord. Have you seen? Never mind.
All right. So we're cutting Tara off.
Squirrel.
So I do have the phone line is open. If anybody is brave enough to call in, Tara's on the panel. I don't know. She's being a little cray-cray tonight, but please call in. And then also I was given permission. I brought up earlier that I was kind of trying to work on something behind the scenes, and I did get permission to share that. And it's very possible that I might come to you guys here soon. So I think it is probably a good thing to share. But I've been working on trying to get that stretch of highway there named for Veronica and Jilian. So
wow.
I am working with our state representative. And that's what I mentioned earlier, that the last email I got was they were looking at the pricing and so they'll email me back on that. But I am going to stay on that. They're going to do it. Awesome. I mean, they don't know it, but they're going to. So
but they're going to do it.
I don't know if you guys know this, but Veronica, when she graduated from Yarborough High School, she was the only senior that year. We went to her graduation. Her graduation was like that quick because
isn't that the best thing though?
Yeah.
So fast. So great.
Yeah.
All right. We have somebody on the line. Let me make sure everybody can hear. Can you hear me? I can. Tara and Mark, can you guys hear?
Nope,
but I will refresh and I'll be right back and I'll hear.
It might be mine. Give me just a second. Because I can hear you. All right, now say something. Let's see if they can hear.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
I can.
I can.
Okay, yes, they can. Go ahead.
It sounds like they're in a tunnel, but yes.
All right, just don't say, like, be careful about any real names or anything if you don't want that information out. But go ahead.
I'm Clint Butler.
Hi, Clint.
Hi, Clint.
He's like, hey, I'm Clint Butler.
hey, Clint, do I tell him your nickname over the air?
Ever since Jimmy talked the very first time, I appreciate it. And Kari and Tara, thank you guys for everything that you guys are doing. I appreciate everything.
You're absolutely welcome. 100%. We will stick right behind you the whole way. Promise you that. So anything you guys need that we can help with, anything we can do behind the scenes, we're more than happy to do so.
And Kari, you mentioned something earlier that she was working on something else. She was working on a prize. And I think everybody would like to know exactly what that is that you're working on.
Yeah, so I think you might have been calling in when I was telling them that, but we are working on getting that stretch of highway named after Veronica and Jilian. So I pray that comes to fruition, and I think it will. The representative I spoke with was very interested. So yeah, that's exciting, and I hope that we can do that for sure.
I hope so too. I think it would be good. I went out there Me and a couple friends mowed that area and got it all cleaned up. And I'm hoping this week I get to set the bench for everybody. And for everybody that's listening, I will post it on the just for Veronica and Jilian. Now I will post the coordinates so everybody knows where it's at. And they will have a place to sit instead of kneeling on the ground, pulling weeds like we was doing this. Well, like we was doing. We were trying to get everything cleaned up.
Wonderful. And I did see that picture. It looks great. If you ever need help with that, there have been other people have messaged me about doing just that, weed eating, mowing around there. If you ever want any help, just let me know, because plenty.
I will. I've had messages where people want to go out and do it, but they was, because it's still they say it's an active scene, that it's not an active scene. It's, I don't know exactly what you would call it, but the scene itself is not active. And if somebody wants to go out there and mow or pull weeds or decorate or whatever, they can.
Wonderful.
The scene itself is not active anymore. Yeah, everything that was there is gone because of rain, wind, this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody ever wants to go out there and do anything, they're more than welcome to. Now, whatever the state laws are on what can be done around the area, that part I don't know. I'm just going on a whim and putting a bench. If the state don't like it, then I guess they can pull it up, because I'm not going to pull it up because I'm grabbing a 5-foot rod in the ground.
That's right. I'm right there with you. I'd be doing the same thing. Come get me later. And I dare you say anything.
I can tell you that in that area, they aren't gonna, they're gonna mess with it, and even if somebody quote owns that ground, they're not gonna say a word.
So is there anything you guys want to ask me?
Ooh, good opportunity, guys. Good opportunity.
Oh,
You definitely have a lot of support in the chat.
oh
A
yes.
lot of support. So do you guys have any questions for him while we have him on the phone?
Hey, Clint.
I can't hear anything.
Hey, Clint, you want to tell him what your nickname was in high school? I don't know if you could hear me.
I don't think you did. Kari, can you ask?
Mark wants to know if you want the chat to know your nickname in high school.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Me and him's going to go back and forth on that one, so it's going to be, no.
Well, now we
All
just
right,
want to
if-
know
all right.
even more.
Okay, so Kari, if he can't hear me, tell him that I'm going to ask him in text, and now I'm going to find out, because now I have to know. Because he could probably hear you, but not me.
Tara said she's going to ask you and find out anyway, especially since you don't want us to know.
Just told you what it was.
Oh, what was
Buckwheat.
it?
Call me buckwheat.
Buckwheat?
Buckwheat.
How funny.
We all had nicknames for each other, and if somebody asked us what their real names were, you had to stop and think, because we didn't ever use them.
Which location for to hear? It will be on the location. If you're from around this part of the area, it's Highway 95 and County Road L on the west side of the road. But whenever I place the bin, I'll put the coordinates on there, because I can't just put a pin drop, because Samsung and iPhone do not match.
Clint, can you hear me by chance? Kari, can Clint hear me? I don't think he can. Kari can't hear me. Hold on a second.
All right, now talk and see
Okay.
if people can hear
Kari,
you.
Kari, can you hear me?
Can you guys hear him?
Oh, I can't hear him.
No.
No.
Okay.
What
I
the
can't hear.
heck?
And
Let's see.
Kari, Tara can't hear you. So.
I can hear Kari. I don't know that Kari can hear me, so I'm going to refresh, because I just got a message in that I want to share carefully. So I'm going to refresh my screen, because sometimes
Okay,
I get
how about
kicked
now?
out. She can't hear me.
Can't
Kari,
hear
can
me?
you hear me? I can hear you.
Oh,
I can hear
know.
you.
It's because we're all old. We can't.
No, it's not. You shut your pie hole. Shut your whore mouth. And I'll find out that that's an applicable statement, sir. So be careful. Remember what I do for part-time, not living.
Oh, now I can hear.
Oh, sweet. That's good. Can Clint
I
hear
can
us?
hear now. Now, can you guys hear
us?
Clint?
I can't hear Clint at all.
Clint? Call for Clint, Kari.
Sounds like I'm the only one that can, so I can relay. Can the chat hear him? If the chat can't hear you, then I'll put the earbuds back.
I'm going to relay something to you, Kari, for you to tell Clint. And I wish he could hear me say it. I have somebody that is.
Hold on just a second.
You're good.
Okay, go ahead, Clint.
I can't hear.
I can't hear him.
Okay, so he was saying, and I'm sorry because I can't figure it out. I'll put him back on the actual. He was saying, somebody asked in the chat, you guys can hear me now? Somebody asked in the chat if he thought there was other people involved. And let me verify real quick what he said, because I don't want to say it wrong. Well, I was trying to mess with my speakers here. Can you hear me now, Clint?
Is he still on?
Let me see. He is. Clint, can you hear me? You guys can, and he can't.
Good times in technology.
Yeehaw.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Okay, can you hear me, Clint? Okay, perfect. I don't know that the chat can. Can you guys hear her?
I can't hear, but I can go out and come back in. It doesn't matter, but I got something in that I want to share cryptically, if that makes sense. Can he hear us?
Just a minute. Give me just a minute. Let me put it back on my computer.
Cryptically. Dun, dun, dun.
Because that's what I do best, Clint. I am that person. Words are my bitch.
Okay, now just say something, Clint. Let's see if they can hear you again.
Jeez.
Hello, everybody.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So can you repeat what your answer was to the question if you thought there were other people possibly involved?
I honestly think there is, but I have no proof. I've got no verification on it. So therefore, I cannot answer that question honestly.
So he said, if in case the sound was low, he said he thinks that there possibly is, but he has no proof. So he cannot verify that and say that, yes, that there is, basically.
And
I think a lot of people have that question.
I've heard the same thing from the closely impacted.
In my head a lot.
Say that again. Yeah. What did he say?
What was that again, Clint?
I think question in my head a lot.
Yeah, he's had that question in his head a lot, and I know a lot of people have. We get asked that all the time, and our answer is basically the same as yours. Yes, we have that nagging feeling, but do we have proof? No, so therefore we don't accuse, and we don't, but yeah.
So, well, Clint, can you hear me? This is Tara.
Another one is from Joseph Ray. It's set November. His lady and him will be down to help clean up the spot. Up.
Yes.
Are they asking is there going to be court in November? It's not set for sure. I believe there will be, but there again, I don't have a confirmation from the DA on that one.
Okay. So no confirmation from the DA on whether or not there is a November court hearing yet. I did look at the filings yesterday, and on all of them, it says the next one is in December for the preliminary. But I will keep checking that every day. If something changes, I'll let everybody know.
Right. And
I know that
the only way they'll have one in November is if there's somebody perks up and wants to file something else.
Right.
Yeah.
There's the only way there's going to be one in November.
Becky said, I have no questions, but I just want Clint and his family to know that we love them and continually are praying for them. And that is a resounding from everybody.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tara. Sorry.
No, you're good. Can Clint, can you hear me at all? I don't think he can,
No.
Kari, so you'll have to relay to him. Received a message. It's a generalized, so I can't say who it's from. It's one of those anonymous things, but it is emotionally uplifting to somebody to hear Clint's voice right now. Somebody is very
Tara said that
happy. Go ahead.
Tara said that she got a message from somebody that said that to hear your voice right now is very emotionally uplifting. And I do think that that's going to be the case for a lot of people, truly. Yeah. I think in a way, even though we don't know Veronica and Jilian, many of us did not know them, hearing the voice of one of the parents, I don't have the right words. I'm sure Tara reads my mind, so she probably knows what I'm thinking. But definitely, I do think it helps people. It helps, so many people are very much invested in this case and justice for the ladies and the reasoning behind why it happened. And so to hear the family speak is really important for a lot of people.
It is, and I'll be the first one to tell you that I've never spoke in front of this many people, even though they can't see me. I may again, and I may not. I don't know.
Right. If
it's my first time, so sorry.
Clint, they're having a hard time hearing you. Can I put the link in the chat? Can you grab that link, and you can turn your camera off if you don't want your camera on, but that way you can hear Tara and Mark, and everybody else can hear you better. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, let me do that, and that'll solve our problems. I'll figure out this Google Voice thing another day. So let me I'll put that in the chat real quick. Just make sure your YouTube is turned off in the background.
I told Tara that I'm not very tech savvy, so it might take me a minute or 10.
That's fine.
Just go.
The link is in the chat there. So just click on it and it'll bring you right on the panel with us. And then everybody can hear you and talk with you.
In the meantime, while Clint is coming up on panel, Kari and I we're closely involved in this whole situation. By closely involved, I mean he's getting better. And Clint's sister LaDonna has offered to.
Hold on just a minute. Hold on, Tara. What was that, Clint?
Yep.
Can everybody hear me?
No, hang up on this call and look in the chat, the comments under my name, and I put the StreamYard link there. Just click on that link. So hang up this call and click on that link, and that'll bring you up here with Mark and Tara and I. Okay, so he's going to click that link. Sorry, Tara.
Great. No, you're good. You're good. Totally understandable. Clint's sister, he has a sister named LaDonna, and Kari and I get to speak with her quite a bit. She's a lovely, fun, spunky individual. We really enjoy our conversations with her, and she's very excited. She's listening in tonight. She doesn't get to do that very often because of work, so she's excited, and we're excited to have her. And she just said to say hello for her to everybody in the chat, this kind of support. And that's something that for family members that are listening but do not come up to make themselves known, it is something to think about if you're in the chat, if you're listening in the background. Family members and the closely impacted and loved ones, they do listen. and they do get involved. And so just know that they appreciate the support that they have seen in this channel, because it has been clean, it has been beautiful, it has been so incredibly awesome, and they really do appreciate what. Oh crap! I okay, never mind. I fixed it. I thought I removed him from the stage and I added him back on. But there's a lot of family members who watch the chat. They just don't participate, and there is a lot of gratitude that they like to extend. I can't say who or how or what, but that is that's very important for you guys to know. They watch the chat and they love what you guys have to say and the support you have. Hello, Clint.
Hello, how are you all?
No, we're better now that you're here. And LaDonna. And LaDonna's here too. Hello, LaDonna. That is just who I was talking about.
Here's something that
your spunky sister is commenting. The one that now, did she tell you that there was a whole punching situation before I met you? She's like, hey, punch him for me. I'm like, if he returns punch, lady, if I don't get to see you, I'm not punching him.
Yes, she told me that. She told me that. It is what it is.
You guys probably should know that growing up, the Clint and Brian and we were relentless on LaDonna. I mean, it was.
I bet.
It was.
Jerks.
It was.
No.
Poor LaDonna. Poor LaDonna.
No, she's a tough cookie, though.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No.
Actually,
sorry guys, I smoke. You guys just got to deal with it.
Kari goes offline.
I do
to smoke.
too.
Don't worry about it. Kari goes offline.
That's why my camera's off.
Yeah, she's smoking too.
You're fine.
If you go to my Facebook page, the cover photo on my Facebook page is a bunch of us that hung out together.
I am all over that.
And it was
don't, Tara, don't.
Mark, I need that
pulling
Facebook
up pictures.
Do I just go to Clint's page? Like, how do I do this?
No, you actually see me with a lot of hair, and I ain't got none no more.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that Clint can read the chat right now, but Prairie Sage said Clint, LaDonna and family, and Jillian's family. I can say with certainty that thousands of people pray for all of you daily. All of you are in our hearts. Absolutely true. The amount of messages I get daily for support for you guys is
thank you very much.
Unreal. And LaDonna said, "Stop lying, little brother."
That's awesome. And just so before we get into things, I just want to make it clear we're going to be careful on details that we share here. Remember, Clint is highly and closely involved, so we're not going to put Clint on the spot. We're not going to ask him very intimate questions about the ordeal. We're going to keep it very, very top level, high level, because we want to protect the integrity of the case. And if I feel like you're crossing Clint in any way, I'm going to hop all over you because I'm very protective of family members. So just to put that out there, we don't want
to. Thank you very much.
We don't want to see the redheaded part of Tara come out. We want to see the non-redheaded.
Ginger snaps once in a while,
right? And I'm super intimidating anyway. So just saying. And go ahead and Kari, I just got a message from LaDonna. If you want to drop that link again, she's ready to jump up too. But I think she's going to fight with Clint, which could be a fun sibling thing for us.
Oh my gosh, I'm here for it.
Oh, you have.
We need like scorecards that we can hold up.
You have no idea.
Just Clint, just so you know, I love you both. I am not going to choose sides except for the one that looks like they're winning. I'm just saying. If somebody looks like they're coming out ahead, I got to join the side of the team. Mark, I suggest you get on the team with me because it's going to be safer for you.
No. I've been on Clint's team since 3 years old. So sorry.
Are you winning very much? Because it looks like she came here first.
Oh, trust me. Yeah. It depends.
Okay, go ahead. Choose that side because depending what side I'm on, you're on the losing end if you're not on my side. I'm just saying.
I can tell you right now that you wrestle with a pig in the mud. You think you're winning till you figure out the pig likes it.
You're cute. You're cute. I'm Texan, so go ahead. This will be fun.
Yeah.
I'm Texan. Enough said.
you can ask Chaina. We poke the tiger constantly. So.
It's
So,
awesome. This will be fun.
yep.
Got to make the evening
Madonna.
fun somehow.
Yeah. Telling you.
Madonna, the link's there.
Wake up.
She having trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, wake up, Madonna.
She's too
You
scared.
got brave. We're not going to let her back out now that she's
She's-
brave.
She's too scared.
Yeah.
Oh, listen to you.
She's
Good
checking it out.
night.
She's checking
Oh,
out.
she is going to come in with a vengeance, you two. I'm going to have to back her now. Y'all. The shenanigans.
Yeah. Nah, she'll be
The
good.
shen-
She'll be good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she will.
She's not as tough. She's not as tough as she lets on.
She's coming for her
Oh.
revenge.
Oh, I got her. There she is. Bite your tongue.
Hi, sweetie.
Ah,
She
crap.
enters. Did you hear that? That's how she enters.
The whole
That's not
family's
intimidating, honey.
here.
The whole
Hey,
family.
Mark. Hey, Mark, I seen Kelley walk by. Tell her I said hi.
She's already out the door, so yeah, I'll tell her in a minute.
Okay, well, you should have ran faster.
Well, you probably see her slap me in the back of the head when she walked by. So
Probably. That's okay.
So, just a quick kind of little tidbit for Kari Moody True Crime. I think this is the first time that Clint and LaDonna have been out there in the open speaking, out there available they're on public display right now. That's there wasn't there.
You are correct.
Where'd LaDonna
You are
go?
correct.
What the hell? LaDonna just took off. We lost her. We need to fix
She'll
it.
be back. I
Thank
bet.
God.
We need to fix that. I
Said
think
thank
stop
God.
it.
She'll find her way right back.
she saw Clinton swipe left.
Oh my God. What is this, an Arkansas reunion? Oh my God.
Okay.
Did
Did
Am
you
I
hear
the hell is
that,
wrong
Madonna?
with you, Mark?
Oh my.
The hell is wrong with you?
I think I missed
Wow.
something because I got lost.
That is.
You did. Mark said that you saw Clinton swiped left. Oh my goodness.
Mark has stories to tell y'all. Don't get Mark started. And let me tell you, when I say that Mark and my brothers ragged on me, they don't let Clint tell you otherwise, because yes, they were mean to me.
No, we were nice as could be.
You lied.
You just took it wrong.
Hey, at least Mark can be honest about it.
He is. He's going to tell you that you took it wrong.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh my gosh. That is awesome.
Boy, we are this whole conversation has really digressed off topic.
I mean, this is what
Digressed? This
happens.
is a damn rabbit hole. There's no digression. This is a complete rabbit hole of what the hellery. That is what this
But hey,
okay. Lucy,
it makes your guys' evening.
There you go.
Yes, it does, because
Yes,
this, like I
it
said,
does.
we're this is the first time we've had Clint and LaDonna out there in the open. So I think it's safe for me to speak on Kari's behalf. This is extremely awesome to have this opportunity. The trust is impressive, and
Terry,
thank
you
you.
make them. You make them sound like prairie dogs. They're out in the open.
Right? Right, because they're not supposed to be. They're like secret ninjas.
They're always in the bushes hiding.
Oh, that's gonna go downhill. You said bushes. This is gonna be getting
Oh
bad.
gosh.
Quick.
That's
Oh.
clipped.
Good job, Kari. Good job. You need to
Yep.
clear your
Madonna's
rhetoric
in the
through
bushes.
me first.
That's what's
Oh man.
We are so. There's going to be a November version of Shenanigans where you guys all come back and we just make a thing of this. That's what's going to happen.
Oh,
bring
I
it
don't know
on.
if that's going to be. That might not be a good idea.
That's exactly a good thing. You could build my channel for me.
Chicken.
That's the perfect thing.
Chicken.
Gotcha.
Chicken.
Oh, I'm not chicken.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Okay, so what does everybody have for us?
Yeah, you've got them here. Have at it. Have at them. In a way.
Questions, careful questions, because again, we've got 2 family members, and if there's any questions that are inappropriate or they are too closely tied into the situation, they'll be deleted, and they won't be allowed. So
Um,
I'm going to be protective. Probably too much of a gargoyle to the point where Kari's going to have to mute me at this point.
Let me just get my
I will say that if there's a question that cannot be answered, I will straight up say cannot answer it, because us family members know more than everybody else, and that's the way it's got to stay.
Yep.
Right.
Correct. Agreed.
And there's stuff that, Clint and I talk a lot. There's stuff that he knows that I tell him I don't want to know.
Yep. And
yeah,
that's just the way it is. That way he can honestly say, I do not know.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
LaDonna, jump in there. Don't let them bully you like that. What were you wanting to say?
You know,
She doesn't need to say anything.
I am.
She talks too much.
Even as I've gotten older, I'm used to it. But I just want to tell those that are listening from all over the country, all over the world, my family and I thank you so much for your thoughts, your prayers, your kindness. I don't jump on the chat, but I do watch and I do talk to Kari and Tara. And I see your comments, and we appreciate you guys so much. We do. I think I speak for Clint and I when we say that our whole family, we just appreciate everything that you guys put out there for us, all the good thoughts and everything.
Very much so.
Yep.
That's important for us to hear. Thank you. It's been Kari and I. She probably won't say it as outwardly as I will, but YouTube can be a very cutthroat place to present facts and present theories based on facts. And we've taken a lot of heat and we've taken a lot of grief. We've both been attacked, our character and our integrity. So to hear family members say those things, thank you, because that means a lot to Kari and I.
That's
thank
very
you.
important. And LaDonna, Bianca said, I am from Australia, and you have so much support from here and all over the world. And I can attest to that because of the messages I get every day, all over the world.
You got no idea. And like I said, I think I speak for Clint and I, our whole family. We appreciate that so much. It truly, truly touches our hearts. Oh my God. There's water coming somewhere. I don't know where it's coming. Truly, you guys have no idea how much I have talked to Kari and Tara. I have cried my heart out. I have screamed. I have yelled. They have graciously been there for me when I didn't think I had an out, because, my brother can only take so much. I am his support. I am his big sister. And sometimes the big sister has to have an out too. And she can't go to her little brother, So Kari and Tara, from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Oh, we love you.
You're worth it.
You're almost
you've
become like a sister to me. I've been talking to you for quite a while now, and it feels like a lot longer than what it has been, but you're like a little sister. Like, I see a message from LaDonna and I'll drop everything. If she calls on Messenger, whatever it is, I'm dropping it for her. And there's not many people I drop everything for. There's not many phone calls I answer, to be very honest.
That is no flipping joke, folks. Let me just tell you the amount of stalking I've had to do with this woman.
Well,
but no,
I bet Kari's like, oh, it's Tara. Boop, airplane mode. Boop.
She's not the only one.
Unread.
She's not the only one. I'm accustomed to that. I'm used to it.
Chat. I'm not able to see the chat. Is there something I'm doing wrong here? Because
are you on your phone?
I am.
So I think on your phone, there's another little spot and it says comments or chat at the top there. And you have to kind of flip over to it.
Clint, don't say it. Don't.
Okay.
Do you guys have any questions while we have them here? Anything you want to say to them? If anybody else would like to come on panel, you're
Joe.
welcome. But any
Joseph,
questions or anything you'd like to
Did
say?
Kari,
Yeah.
did you highlight Joseph's response to you?
I
Is that what
did.
you just did? Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're funny.
Lucy Lou said, I don't answer hers. Joe said, I don't answer his. Yeah, I don't answer calls. So
Hey guys,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to bail off of here, and I will
It's
talk
getting
to
to be
you
that
guys.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, and hey, anytime we want to do another shenanigans or another one of these or whatever, let me know. Bring it on.
We're all going to shenanigans for some real shenanigans.
Yep.
We'll take this to a whole other level. If you
Yes.
haven't,
And
if you're not familiar with my channel, Mark, go get familiar real quick.
and also when more legislation, when we get farther down the road, LaDonna's in on this as well. I'm trying to keep her in the loop as much as loopy as I can. Anyway, when we get further down the road, we might come back on and give you more updates on. I mean,
Yes.
That
that's
would be
obviously up to you
wonderful.
guys. So,
That would be wonderful. And Mark, again, thank you for everything you're doing on this. Thank you for being willing to come on and discuss it with us. I'm super excited
Sure.
about this bill. So if there's anything that I can do, please don't hesitate to reach out and say, hey, could you do this? And we'll be right on it for you.
Nope.
So,
Sounds good. Talk to you guys later.
all right. Thank you
All right,
so
Mark.
much.
Thank you,
Have a
Mark.
wonderful evening.
Thank you. We'll see
Yep.
you
Mark,
soon.
Yeah.
Mark, thank
Bye-bye.
you very much, and I'll be talking
Yeah.
to you here real soon.
Yep. Sounds good. We'll talk to you later, man.
All right, love you, bro.
Love
Bye.
you too.
That's outstanding. We're fighting over
There
comments.
it is. It finally came up.
Okay.
Okay, what am I supposed to do on my phone again to get comments? Because I'm not seeing nothing.
Did you
Okay.
figure it out, LaDonna?
I'm a redneck. I don't understand this shit.
I love
Hey
it.
now.
You and me both, buddy. You and me both.
Did you figure it out,
Um,
LaDonna?
Am I still here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I'm sitting here. I
That's
don't see
awesome.
myself, but I'm reading the comments.
So Prairie Sage is from the area, and so if you are familiar with Prairie Sage and you want to get a hold of me or Kari, and you're in the area and you prefer Prairie Sage is a way to get a hold of us as well. Thank you, Prairie Sage. We appreciate that. Lots of thank yous for Mark. I'm just going through the chat while we're trying to get some comments pulled up. I haven't seen any questions for LaDonna or Clint, which is fine.
That's because people here are respectful. They're
They
just
really are.
thankful,
They're
very
very
thankful to
good.
see you both, to hear your voices. I think they're just very thankful, and their hearts are with you both.
Absolutely. Well,
I
there's
think
something to
that-
be said. And again,
think-
I'm doing this intentionally. I know Kari would not do it, but I'm trying to redirect focus in a specific way for specific purpose. Kari and I think are we've got family members on this channel willing to come on and talk with us, trusting that we will protect them, trusting that we'll protect the case. I think that says a lot about the integrity of this channel and the facts that we try to put out there. And Clint and LaDonna, thank you for recognizing us for the efforts that we're trying to put out there, because we are very serious about how we present information and how we represent the family the way that we've been trying to it. And so thank you and for being here and trusting us to and trusting the chat, because the chat can, in other channels, the chat can be pretty unpredictable. Ours is pretty predictable and very respectful. So thank you
They
for
know I'll
trusting
pull
that.
the whip out if they're not. Be like,
Hell yeah. Well, and that's if you get to them before I start verbally assaulting people and
Right.
putting them in the fetal position in the corner of their brains. Because that's how I operate. I'm psychological like that, which is probably not good to say out loud, especially in front of my Alexa over there. But that's the government can come get me. It's no big deal.
You know, I think it helps.
But
that-
nobody has any.
Tara, can you hear LaDonna?
Can you hear me, Tara?
No. Dang it. Art.
Oh, is
I'm
it
gonna-
a blessing on you, Tara?
Hey.
You shush.
Hey.
Be nice. God dang it. Let me refresh again. And
Okay.
let's see what. Oh my God. The flipping StreamYard.
I think that it helps people to see that, you know, my brother and I are actually, I mean, we are real people. We have feelings. And I think that, you know, we've stood back in the background, not wanting to be out there, because even though it's been 6 months, it's still so fresh.
Yes.
They're so, my brother and I talk almost daily, even if it's just to say, hey, I love you. I miss you. I think for people out there, it's nice for them to put a face with Veronica's family, and we are happy to do that for you. My heart, I can't thank this community enough for everything. I sound like a broken record. I know I do. I've told Kara and Terry so many times that, thank you for your kindness, your thoughts, your prayers, the vibes that you put out there for us, because we do watch, we watch, and it does mean so much to us that there's so many people out there that are rooting for us. And we appreciate that so much.
Yeah, we try really hard to, constantly let people know that there's more than 2 victims. And friends and family are also victims, and really struggling with this. And it was unexpected, and I can't imagine going through that. And so the love and support that all of you give to the families is just, it's unbelievable. It's amazing. And I know that this is the first time you're hearing from them, but I can tell you that they have appreciated it all along.
Very much so. There is a question from the chat. They're not in the open chat. It's a private chat. Somebody that just messaged me. The question is, and I don't know where Clint went. I don't know if he lost
connected.
Oh, you could have all the shenanigans about him while
yeah,
he's
now
gone.
you can
Hold on,
really
because
dog on him.
he had all them on you. So the question is, and we can repeat it for Clint should he reappear, is LaDonna, is there any sense of relief with the added charges? Is if there is, do you have, were you, when you saw the added charges to the 3, Tad and Tiffany and Cole, did you feel like, oh, this is good? Or what the hell? Like, what were your feelings when those charges were added on to those 3?
It was, I think for me, I can't speak for my brother on this, but I think for me, there was so much relief. Okay, they're finding new evidence. They're finding, okay, you know what, we're going to tack this on. We're going to tack this on. And I called my brother and I said, did you see that? Have you seen this? And he'll be like, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? And I'll have to send him, whatever, I get. I'm relieved, because you know what? At the end of the day, these people are never going to see the light of day again.
Yes. And every charge that they put on there just ensures that.
Yes. Absolutely.
That was a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm always careful with what questions I ask, even behind, when I speak with LaDonna, even I'm careful of questions that I ask. There's certain things that it's just difficult. It's a very difficult situation for them. And I hope that you guys being able to come up here helps you guys a little bit too, towards the healing and stuff. Just seeing the massive amount of support that you guys have in the group here. And Dara, did you have something?
Just I spoke to new family members today, those that I've not spoken with in the past. New relationships are forming with other family members. I've had the extreme pleasure and privilege and honor of becoming close to several individuals who are very close to this case, LaDonna and Clint being a couple of those individuals, because I'm super relationship oriented. I'm super protective. I think LaDonna and Clint can both attest to that. I know Kari can because she gets on my case like, seriously, calm your pit bull ass down. You need to just chill a little bit. I'm like, nope, so sorry, not doing it. But in talking with some new family members today, I don't think there's no way to understand this point of view without being in the throes of the situation like LaDonna and Clint are. And some family members have found they don't have a space to open up and talk. They don't have the opportunity to speak out because that's part of the healing process. That's why, and I keep talking about shenanigans because that is a space where that kind of rhetoric happens. It is a healing space. It's not a safe space. It's a healing space. Those are two different things. But in the individuals I talked with today, and there were two of them, they have been limited on the area they could open up and speak at. Very limited. They've been limited on the information they could have. They've been limited on their involvement, and their healing process is stunted because of that. So Kari and I, again, we get a lot of information and we don't share everything because it's not
I think I figured out how to get back on here.
He found his way back to us.
I can't flip and hear him. I can see that he's here, but I can't. StreamYard.
Nope. Redneck found his way.
Hold on. Hold on. I will be right back. God, mother flipping.
Hold that thought.
I had to turn by the left tree, the one on the right, and then go around the tree that burned down 15 years ago before I found my way. Got it.
Oh my gosh, is that not so true?
Dear Lord, for the shit I said behind the camera. If you forgive me or not, that's fine. Okay, let me try this again.
Can you ask that same question of Clint, Tara, and if he doesn't mind to answer that?
Okay, so now that I can see Rebecca, I have to look on this screen versus this screen. So whatever. So Clint, with the new charges that were applied to the three, what were the feelings towards those charges? Was it relief or hell yeah? Or when you found out they had additional charges, what did you think?
It's about time.
Okay, that'll work.
Yeah,
it's about time the charges. It's about time the charges were pressed because I knew in my heart and in my mind they were not kidnapped. They were not taken somewhere. They were not brutalized. They died right there.
Yeah.
So removal of a dead body, 100%.
I think that's very important. That just totally dispels one whole entire rumor in itself. You just heard what Clint said.
So the kidnapping charges, that could be because the reason that those were put out there is because they were on their way to a destination and they were rerouted intentionally, but they were upgraded charges, right?
And there was no 100% evidence that they were transported somewhere else, and there wasn't evidence that they wasn't transported somewhere else.
Right.
Yep.
Now, whether those kidnapping charges stay in effect, I don't know. I mean, I know, but I can't say that. There's things that I can't say, and I won't.
Yep.
So
those
whether or not
charges have me thrown for a loop, but I can understand.
So Clint, those that question came from somebody who has a vested interest, somebody who's been watching everything closely, and they were very interested in how the family was feeling about that. And the response is they are relieved in the feelings of the family between you and LaDonna. They feel very relieved at that. So I wanted to share that with you. What I also wanted to share with you.
I actually think that the charges automatically tell you about the kidnapping charges, if that makes sense.
It does.
Removal of a dead body and kidnapping, they don't go hand in hand.
Right. That's what has me so confused about it, I think, because I keep saying the same thing. How does that 1 + 1 equal 3?
Exactly. It's hand in hand.
Patrick in our chat has a question. He said, Clint and LaDonna, does it bother you all that only 3 of the 5 got the new charges?
Yes.
Do you think
100%.
so? It
Yes,
does
absolutely.
bother you. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I
And
think
I am going to ask the DA whenever the other two are not charged with it. There might be reasons, I don't know, but I am going to ask because that does bother me.
I think if you're going to charge 3, you should charge all 5.
In a yes or no situation is my thinking.
I think in this situation, I think Paul and Cora have, and don't, if you guys know stuff, of course, the family knows more than what we do. We're doing a lot of speculation based on information that Kari and I have received. But in my opinion, I think Paul and Cora have decided to work with the DA to some degree, and their charges are going to be limited because I think they're going to do life anyway. And I think they're making sure the others do life.
Right.
That's my hope.
I think, and that's my hope too. And with the removal of a dead body, and it's already been stated in other court documents that Cora and Cole was, they were lookouts, but then Cole was charged with removal of a dead body. Cora was not. So if she did not touch the bodies, she is not capable of getting a charge of removal of a dead body because she did not touch them. Whether that's the case or not, I don't know. That's just my thought.
Right.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought too. The second part to this question, Clint did answer this earlier, but people couldn't really hear, and we give LaDonna a chance to answer as well. Do you think that more charges should be added?
Yes, 100%.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking 3 people right off the bat.
Yes. We probably have the same names in our heads.
Yep.
Once the ladies step out of their vehicle, isn't that considered kidnapping?
Actually, no.
Not necessarily.
No.
No.
Nope.
Not unless they take them from that place.
Gotcha.
Well, Oklahoma law states that once you reroute somebody from their destination, so in this case, as soon as if our theory is correct, and they forced the car off of Highway 95 to make that westbound turn onto L Road, they forced it by blocking it. That's kidnapping. They forced them out of their destination, and they forced them to go somewhere else to stop the car. That is kidnapping.
Wow.
It's a very
like rerouting. Yeah.
We covered that a long time ago because we're like, how is this kidnapping? So we did some research, and we had a local lawyer who helped us to understand that. But the charges were changed for those 2. They are for the 3 rather. Those were, but I think the body removal, the additional charges are likely more severe than the kidnapping ones. But I don't know what all those defense attorneys are doing. I question any defense attorney that defends something like this, but that's neither here nor there.
Right.
But I think all 5 are going away for an incredible amount of time, and I don't think appeals are going to help them. I think the DA is trying to make sure of that.
Right.
And I think so too. And I think that, and just my belief that's all it is a belief, is that the 2 that's already turned state's witness, I believe that they will get the minimum of life in prison without possibility of parole just because they don't want the death sentence.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
And
it's been pointed
that there's, and I don't think, and in my mind, I don't think it's out of the question for others to do that. I think, in my mind only, I think Tad's the only one that's going to try to fight tooth and nail. Because I really think he thinks he's going to get out. To be honest with you. Yeah. And his mommy thinks that she can pay enough money for lawyers to get him out, and that would be the worst mistake he'll ever make in his life.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's not coming from me. That's coming from everybody in the community.
And if I didn't mention this at the beginning, I kind of assume everybody knows, but if you are unaware, Tad did just retain 2 new attorneys. So
yes, I did know that, and that's why I think mommy's just trying to Good old mommy. She's just trying to protect her child that's screwed up in life.
Yep.
So I have
And-
2 questions that I always wonder with
Okay.
families. So this is just kind of in general, really. But
Okay.
the first one is, are you happy with law enforcement? Have they worked well with you guys? Do they answer questions? Are they available to you? That kind of thing.
Since the incident or before the incident?
Since.
Yes.
Okay.
I can call OSBI and he gives me, he will talk to me. He tells me what he can legally. He does not overexert, but he does ease my mind and he does talk to me. And I do respect that from him.
That's good. I noticed at the last hearing, the sheriff, I think it was LaDonna that, gave him a hug. And I thought that's real and genuine, yeah. It made me think that they want the same outcome that the rest of us do.
And they
Yep.
really do.
They do. They do. They all do.
They do.
Oh
They
yeah, agreed.
do.
I don't know if you guys want to answer this. So if you don't, just say you don't. I know that I've talked with LaDonna about it, but how do you guys feel about the death penalty?
You know, I'm going to tell you the same thing that my brother and I have talked about this in great detail, but in my opinion, let me be frank here. I support the death penalty and I advocate for it. But in my mind, in this situation, it's too easy for them. We grew up learning eye for an eye. That's what our parents taught us growing up. Somebody, if we bullied at school, we were told, hey, go, don't fight. But if they instigate it, you defend yourself. And in my mind, they deserve what they did to Veronica and Jilian. 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Clint.
Well, hang on. I'm trying to, my earpiece just went out. So
Oh no.
I'm trying to figure.
Uh-oh.
Oh God, love of sake. When he comes back, I have to reload. I need him to stop doing that. Ah. Oh my God.
Come on, Sarah, get your crap together tonight.
It's not me, it's the damn technical crap.
Do you think,
Absolutely
Patrick
ridiculous.
said, in some ways, isn't the DP, the easy death penalty, the easy way out?
I think
I don't
that's
don't know.
dependent upon your fear of death. If you are afraid of death, isn't that like terrifying for some people?
Here's the thing, okay? Oklahoma had, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a guy that was on death row. He was going to die within that week. They put him out. It was botched. He suffered. Do y'all remember that? It was several years back, but his crime was that he had raped a 3-month-old baby.
Whoa.
So he suffered his botched IV. He suffered. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And in my mind, I'm like, dude, what you did to this baby was like 5,000 times worse. And people want to cry, these advocates that are against the death penalty, they want to cry that he was abused because it was botched. Are you kidding me right now? Like, no. Yeah, for me, the death penalty is too easy. They're going to lay him out there on a table. They're going to stick an IV in him. Boom, done. It's done. It's over. They don't have any suffering. They don't have any pain. It's done. And to me, that's just It's too easy. I mean, I have talked to you guys. You know
Yeah.
my thoughts. You know my feelings. I have cried to you about this. I have screamed.
Mhm.
I have yelled. It's
Do
too easy.
you and I agree, you've been super vulnerable and super open with us, LaDonna, to the point that we feel very, very close to you. So is it they suffer. Let's say you get to watch them suffer. And it's one of those real questions, right? It's a hard question. Will watching them suffer lessen the emotions and the pain that you feel?
Maybe.
Which is legit. I mean, I don't know that you're the only one that would say that, right? That's the hope, is that the balance works out, right? The balance works out,
Absolutely.
because there was a question back a couple lives ago, and somebody had asked, because the paperwork came out for the state that wanted to join the preliminary hearings, and there was a lot of information, one of which revealing that Tad attacked Jilian and that Paul attacked Veronica. And somebody in the chat wanted to know, did Veronica know Paul? And it was confirmed she knew who he was, so she could identify him in everyday life. Did she know him personally? Probably not. But she knew obviously Tad and Tiffany personally. She may have known Cora and Cole to some degree, but to know your person coming, to know that attacker coming at you, and the fear, what they instilled in them is part of the pain and the hurt and the healing process that you as a family member and Clint and the others have to go through. Knowing that that eye for an eye, that it's almost like a balance. Like if they have to experience the same fear, the same shock, and the same "what the hell are you doing?" It's
Yes.
almost like, yep, that helps. That
Yeah.
helps.
I think to see if they suffer, yes, I think it will ease the pain if just a little bit, even if just a little bit.
Mhm.
You know.
It's, well, and I just got a text from somebody who's, familiar, closely familiar, I'll put it, with one of the, other 3, Tad, who is saying that Tad is afraid right now, which is explaining the DP, the death penalty lawyers. Tad is afraid. Tiffany's not there to protect him. Tiffany's not there to call the shots. Tiffany's not there to make the decisions. And now he can't rely on her, so he's got to rely on attorneys, his mom, and now he's scared to death that he will have. That's his fear. Death is his fear. He doesn't want to die, and now he's in that panic, distress mode that he literally put Jilian through personally and Veronica through indirectly. Now he's there, and so it's almost a relief factor of good. You should, because do you know what you did to 2 women who were doing nothing more than what they thought was the right thing in their life? They were doing exactly what the court said to do. Both of them were doing exactly what the court said to do. That's it.
Yeah.
So good for you for suffering, because
Yeah.
there's got to be some reprieve, some relief, some like, yeah, you deserve that. Absolutely. So, and I'm glad you're honest about that. Some people might not be so honest in fear of the court of public opinion.
Right.
So I'm glad you're super honest, because I would be too. I'd be like, hell yeah, yeah. If I'm somebody, so I'm talking from a position of, from the mother's perspective, because Jilian and Veronica both were their mother's eldest children. They were the first born. And I have tried to put myself in their shoes with my firstborn. I feel guilty, absolutely guilty as a mom, to think of my child in that predicament. But I want to understand where they're coming from. And I'm an emotionally intelligent person. I try to be a certain way with my emotions, and I'm not sure that I don't know what I would do or want. I really don't. You don't know until you're there. You'd like to think you'd know, but
Right.
until you're in those shoes, you really don't. So I
Yeah,
appreciate your raw honesty on that.
I'm always saying we don't know until you're in that position. You can think and say what you would do all day, every day. But, I just pray that none of us are ever in that situation, because you really don't know what you do. And that goes for any case. Like the missing kids really get me when people go after the parents. Tara knows I get really irritated and upset about that, because how do you know how you're going to act? Are you going to clam up and not want to talk? Or are you going to put yourself out there constantly? We don't know.
Well, Kari, we've worked a missing children's case, and we were fortunate enough to be a part of the team that found that missing child. And that family, we couldn't shut them up. They were out there in the public all the time. And I hope they're listening tonight, because it was a beautiful, wonderful thing. And it was a family where they were not raising this child together anymore. Mom and dad were not together. Yeah. They did not like each other. They were not fans of one another, but they put aside their personal differences to be like, okay, you know what? You shut up about me. I'll shut up about you. We're both going to talk about our daughter, and we're going to find this. And together they did. They literally together
yes,
were,
it was amazing.
They were together when they found their child, and now they're working together all the time. So they couldn't shut up. But there's other cases where you don't know what to do because the public has already attacked you. And I know you guys, LaDonna, I know you guys have all taken some heat from the public one way or another. If it was just the public in general or the social media public, I know you guys have taken heat, and that's, it is not okay. It is not.
I've got a question.
Are not in this position.
Because I know a lot of people will watch this afterwards, and this is just in general, social media and the role that it played in this. How can you kind of describe some of that? And I'm talking like the Facebook groups or the YouTube lives or whatever, because I know every family that sadly goes through anything close to this, they have to deal with that. And so from the close family member, how does social media impact you guys?
Oh,
that's a loaded question.
It really
don't include us in that answer, by the way. Kari and I are immune.
No, you guys are good, and I could probably say I owe a lot of people an apology, but I'm gonna say sorry.
Hey, I'm here. Sorry, my bad. Redneck trying to figure shit out. Not working.
And interrupting Big Sister at the same time. Double whammy. Look at him. He is efficient as hell.
No, not really. It took me like 10 minutes to figure that crap out.
I love it, Clint.
So I was asking LaDonna, Clint, the effect of social media on you guys as a family and how that's affected you guys. And so LaDonna was just answering that for us.
So
yeah, and you can't put us in that bin, by the way, Clint. We're immune.
So for me, it's going to be sorry, not sorry. I've had to go in and I've corrected a lot of people on a lot of things, to the point where, I've gone back to you guys and said, okay, I'm done. I'm out. Fix it. Because it has been so incredibly frustrating just to watch people, and they just keep, they just keep on. And it's like, okay, I'm done. I'm out. Social media, not really so much. My friends, my family, they know, hey, what can we do? Is there, people don't know what to say. And, and you know what? That's okay. Just a hand on the shoulder, a hug. Hey, I don't know what to say, but I'm here for you. And that's okay. Outside of social media, my brother and I have been called, we have been texted, we have been emailed, our family, our friends, people.
Oh, wow.
What's the word I'm looking for, Clint? They have been
annoying.
Vultures?
They have been very
vultures. Yep.
Overwhelming.
Constant. Yes, they've been overwhelming in wanting to do this interview, or wanting to be on this news channel, or wanting to be on this talk show or that talk show. And Clint and I are our family's very private. That's how we were raised. We're very, very private. Clint more so than I'm a social butterfly. I will talk to probably anybody and everybody. But I've become more reserved. I would not wish this pain on anybody. it's horrible. Veronica was like my other child. She's just like your normal aunt, you know, and niece. We did that back and forth thing a lot. We were very close, but yeah, the media in general has been horrible. Social media, I can deal with some social media issues until I just say, okay, I'm out, I'm done. Um, Clint doesn't deal with social media. He's like,
Nope.
He's like, I will say, hey, you need to go on the page and look at this. He's like, nope, not today. And then if I go home, now y'all might not know that Clint lives way up north and I live way down south. We're about 4 hours from each other. But like I said, we talk daily. But I'll call him and I'm like, you really need to go see this. You need to go look at this. Or, you know, hey, I just got this phone call or this text. Did you? And he's like, yeah, just ignore it. Just delete it, because I'm not going to do anything without my brother's permission. This was his daughter. You know, she was my niece. I loved her very much. She was like my other child. But when it comes to things like that, I will always go to Clint and say, hey, I got this. What do you think? And I will tell you that 99.9% of the time, Clint's answer is absolutely not.
I feel incredibly privileged that he talks to me and that you talk to me. So I appreciate that very, very much.
Well, you should feel privileged, by God.
I do, damn it.
So, Clint, the same question to you then. Has social media, you're on it, so you see things. How has social media affected you from the beginning of this case till now? Has it been negative for the most part? A little mixture of both? Or
I have seen things. There's some that's negative, and I want to correct people, but at the same time, I'm like, you know, you got your own thoughts. Take them. I know you're wrong because I know other things. And so does it bother me? No. Doesn't bother me at all. You want to take it the wrong way? Take it the wrong way. That's your fault. Then whenever it comes back, I guess it bites you in the ass. It's not my ass, it's biting. And I don't mean to be verbal about it, but that's the way I see it.
Yeah, there's been many times that LaDonna will see something in the group and she'll message me and she's like, I got to step away. I just can't. I'm going to go off on somebody. And I'm like, take your time, step away, girl.
And to me, that's fine. She can step away. And I just sit there and look at it and I just laugh. Like it's going to bite you in the ass. And that's okay.
Yes. Well,
that's your thought.
Firsthand. Yep. We've seen that firsthand.
Yeah. But for the most part of it, everybody that's on my page has been very supportive and everything. So I'm okay with that too. And it helps a lot. I mean, I did a little something. I know I probably shouldn't say it on here, but I'm going to, because no telling what bosses is listening to it. But yeah, me and 3 coworkers went out there and we cleaned up Veronica and Jilian's yard today on company time. If they don't like it, they can fire me. I don't care. That's what we did. And we got it cleaned up and we left and we went and did our job and we got all of our job done. So
that's awesome.
But I got friends at work that help me take care of that and help me do all of that. And if anybody's got anything bad to say about it, say it. I don't care.
Yeah.
We have.
I don't think anybody would.
In the Facebook group that have said, hey, you know, I noticed that the grass is growing or the weeds are growing. We're going to take a lawnmower out next time we go, or a weed eater. And I've told my brother, I was like, hey, there's people that are offering to go do this. And
they are.
It's
but I'm not going to take it. It's my daughter's yard and I'm going to take care of it.
And
it's understandable.
Overwhelming to me to know that there's kindness out there, that people care enough to want to take care of Jilian and Veronica's yard besides just,
Yep.
you know.
And I know
So,
that there is,
LaDonna?
because like I said, I've gotten lots of messages. They're like, hey, you know, would it be okay if we went and did this? And, you know,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, just make sure you get permission, you don't get in trouble kind of thing. But
I've got messages stating that they wanted to go out and mow it and weed eat it, but they're afraid because it's still a open, or they're calling it they want to say it's an
active
open
scene.
scene, and it is not. It
No,
can't be. There's too much weather involved in it. It's not an open scene no more. You can't
Yeah.
see anything.
too many people
And
Well,
that's
walk
what
all
they're
over it,
afraid of.
around it. It's
Exactly.
Yep.
So that's what I did the first time I went out and mowed it. I didn't give a shit. I just mowed it.
Yeah.
And I had a
So-
friend that he was supposed to go out there with me. He just chose to go out before I did, and he went and weed eated it, and then all I had to do was mow it.
I love him.
Bastard. He's a very good friend of mine.
Brother's best friend.
His name is Jeremy, and he went out and he weed eated before I even went out there. And I could have killed him because we were supposed to do it together.
Right. Yeah, I can
LaDonna,
see
there is
where
a
you'd probably
question.
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You're good, Kari.
No.
It was a segue. Somebody was asking LaDonna a question about the number of kids she had of her biological children that she raised. Because she mentioned Veronica was like one of her own. So there was a question as to how many she had.
She had 2.
No, you. They want to know you.
I have children. Yes, I have 3 of my own. And I have, she's an adopted daughter. She's the mother of my grandchildren. So yes, I have 4.
Yeah. 4. There we go. I think Kari
Patrick
just
said,
posted,
yeah, sorry if this question is too hard or wrong, but I'm sure Clint and LaDonna, y'all probably know details that nobody else does. Does it get hard not to go off on people who say things without knowing what you do?
100%.
Because I know I'd be trying to correct everything. That's just the way I'm built.
Well, Kari,
It's 100%, but I cannot correct them.
Right.
So Kari and I have been, so that's part of the Facebook group magic, right? Kari and I have been privy to some information that we should not have known, and we've protected a lot of information. We continue to do so. And that Facebook group, there's certain laws. There's posts that I make because I'm like, Kari, I'm going to town. And she's like, do it, because if I do it, it's going to sound bitchy. I'm like, no, it's fabulous. I'll just write something up. So I make it clear this is not up for debate. This is not up for conversation, because there's things that we were aware of that we're like, we're not putting this out there. We're not going to let it be put out there. We're not going to let rumors fly. Like, I think there was a speculation on serial killers. I'm like, nope, we're shutting that down right now, because that's not even remotely close to the damn truth. But
no, nowhere close.
Whenever you're drinking, smoking, stop it. So I know Kari and I've had to pull back and be like, we'll just delete it, let them know there's nothing, there's no evidence to support that is the best way that we've been able to
And
identify.
there's probably information that I know that LaDonna does not know. And it's not because I didn't tell her, it's because I don't remember. I don't remember if I told her or not, but I just I keep it as a minimum.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to hide anything from her. By all means, it's I don't remember to tell her.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Because I'm told a lot of information, but I just can't let it out.
Right.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, you don't want to risk anything. 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just that I don't remember to tell her. I try to remember to tell her everything because I want her to stay in the loop. I just
You just don't always remember everything.
Yes.
Call me. I tell you.
So,
this. I'm kind of like, no, you didn't tell me that. Okay, so hey. But when it comes to the case, we are there's so much that we can't say.
Correct.
We can't allow it to get in the wrong hands. Not only that, but we've been sworn to secrecy on a lot of things. so as not to jeopardize this case. So it's not that we don't want to
Rightfully so.
try things. It's there's just things that we can't afford to get out to, and to jeopardize the whole thing.
Yeah. I think that that's something that a lot of people don't realize with any case that I follow or cover, is that a lot of times the family does know more, and they can't
They do.
say.
They
So
do.
then you'll get, well, especially like, missing kids and stuff, you'll get, well, the parents are lying. And I'm always sitting there going, they're probably not lying. They just can't say anything, back off
Exactly.
them. They just can't. And you've got them cornered to where it's just
Oh.
that's why I asked about social media, 'cause it can be hard.
Or they don't know, there's
Right.
as I was saying, and unfortunately, Clint, you kind of got booted off, and so I wanted to come back around to it. There's a couple of family members I was talking with today. It's the first time I got to talk with them, and they don't know information. They are not getting the information. They don't have the space
Correct.
to open up and talk and
Mhm.
kind of find that part of their healing process is openly talking, and they have been restrained on that. And I've just found out today that there's details they did not know, and specific details that everybody else knew that are public details they didn't find out till a month ago because they had been so closed in, and so they're looking for that outlet now. So
Yeah.
it's super important that you guys are out here saying, look, we're here, we can only say so much, and we're going to respect those boundaries, but we're here, and this is part of our healing process. This is part of what we need to do, but we're just not going to tell you everything that we know. And then there's some family members who just don't know. Unfortunately, they're it's hard to know because
Right.
we are not prepared for these kinds of things. I don't think either one of you were prepared for the process to know what questions to ask, who to
No.
call, what questions. There's no way to prepare for this. So like
No.
we've got family members out there who don't know that they
There's
are
not.
allowed to be privy to the information.
Just really not. There was right after this first happened, there was a reporter, because there were several reporters from several different news stations that came down, and I was blocked in, and I am just hysterically crying. And I look over at my brother and I said, Clint, I need you. I can't do this by myself. He came over, he rescued me. They asked him a question, he answered it. There was another question that was asked, and he said, you don't want to know the answer to that. He grabbed my hand and we walked off. There are some things.
The question was, do you think the judicial system failed your daughter? And I said, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I grabbed LaDonna's hand and I turned around and I walked away.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. And
Stupid question anyway, but
150%.
Well, and there's more to that question than what everybody else knows.
Right. Oh,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yes.
I know her husband.
yeah.
You know what? I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. And do I have any issues with her husband? Absolutely not. Her husband works for the same company that I work for. And there for the longest time, her husband would come in, and if he would see me, he would turn around and walk away from the shop. He thought I had something against him. I do not. None whatsoever. I have everything against his wife. His wife is the one that killed my daughter. And I will believe that till the day I die.
Yeah.
She killed my daughter.
Yeah.
She allowed Tiffany to do what Tiffany wanted to do because Tiffany threatened her in court. She was scared. She let Tiffany do what she wanted to do. His wife killed my daughter. That's why as soon as Veronica was killed and Jilian was killed, guess what? She had protective services in her house spending the night so she wouldn't die.
Yep.
And I'm sorry for the language, but fuck you. Sorry for the language.
Yeah, I would feel the exact same way. Exact same
And
way.
that is exactly the way it was. But he thinks I got an issue with him. I do not. I do not have an issue with him. He doesn't mean no wrong, none whatsoever. His wife done me wrong. His wife done my family wrong. His wife done Veronica's family wrong.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. And like Bianca said, never need to apologize, Clint. Not at all. Your feelings are absolutely valid. And I think we'd all feel the same exact way in your shoes. Patrick had a question. He said, sorry about another question, but Clint and LaDonna, do you ever hope that they plead guilty and avoid trial so that some information doesn't get out in the court trial? That's a good question.
Here's my honest thoughts on that. I don't think they will.
Actually, I hope they do, because there's some things that I don't think need to go out. That's just my opinion. And I know further in depth than what LaDonna does. So I'm going to say, yes, I hope they just plead guilty and be done with it.
But at the same time, you know that that's probably not a reality. Yeah.
Is they probably will not.
One never knows. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that. One never knows.
We can certainly
hope. I will leave it at that.
Yeah.
I've got word. It was just hearsay, but it's a possibility, but no one ever knows.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. Do you got a question there, Tara?
Just text messages.
Oh, I didn't know if you were reading a question or what you're.
No, just somebody was asking, they were getting some clarification on who Clint was talking about. So I gave him that clarification. Just a lot of support, individuals who can't come up on the chat themselves. And I think that Clint and LaDonna understand what that means. So there's a lot of support coming in for being up here, speaking openly without jeopardizing anything. And so again, there's some family members out there who are too. They're not.
I also apologize for nobody else being able to call in and talk, and for that I do apologize.
Oh no, we can do this more than once. We can invite you guys right back to have more conversation, because there's a lot of things that people want to know specifically about, like Lucy Lou says there on the screen. People want to know about Veronica, and they want to know about Jilian. They want to know those stories. They're connected through the tragedy, but not the personalities, because the family, the people who know these people that know Veronica and Jilian the most can't come out and say all these cool memories, these cool things about them. And that's
probably a really good factor. That's probably a really good note to end this on too. If we can hear some funny and sweet stories of Veronica.
Last year, because I came back from New York, West Virginia. I was in both states. I came back and I stayed with Veronica, so I could go down and spend time with Dad before he passed away last year. And Veronica had a bunch of pallets. I was like, all right. I was like, what do you plan on doing with them? She's like, Dad, we're going to build a bench. I'm like, okay, what's your plan? She's like, I don't know. You got the plan. You just build it and I'm going to help you. All right. So cut this pallet. She's like, Dad, I've never used a battery powered tool a day in my life. Trust me, I'm going to cut my leg off. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, don't cut your leg off. This is how you use it. This is what you do. This is skill saw. This is how you use it. And that's the way I was with Veronica. And she cut most of it, and I made her drill most of the screws into it, and we just did everything together. And then it came out to, well, they're not going to blow away in the wind, benches. They're solid pallets. They got cushions on them, and Veronica absolutely loved them. Me and her would sit out there, and the wind would hit, and it'd be a light rain. Me and her boyfriend, we built an awning
and just hear the rain hit the tin. And Veronica's like, Dad, thank you for trusting me to run a power tool and help build these. I'm like, not a problem. That's what dads do.
Right.
Yeah.
How
That's
sweet.
awesome.
You have that memory. That's wonderful.
Veronica
It's
loved
adorable.
it. She
Do
was,
what?
I think she was probably
Yes, she did.
away from my dad, and when my dad was on hospice, so she was closer to him we than we were, because Clint was up in New York, I was here. If I wasn't at my dad's house every weekend, it was every other weekend, so never really alone. And
Veronica was, before LaDonna goes any further, Veronica was mom and dad's favorite fucking
oh my God,
child, no matter who the hell you was.
yes,
That's all
yes,
there was to
was.
it.
Yeah,
And nobody can deny it.
no, they cannot deny that.
Oh my gosh,
Yes,
that's funny.
Veronica was my dad's favorite. She would sit, would watch westerns with him. She would cook, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever it was, whatever time of day it was. She was there for her papa, and she would fight tooth and nail for him. She was there with him in his final moments when I couldn't be. I was
When
home,
oh,
and
when I made the phone call to everybody that dad was gone, Veronica showed up, and Veronica was there to help me and the hospice nurse get dad cleaned up, and Veronica didn't even flinch. She's like, nope, that's my grandpa. I'm going to help get him cleaned up.
yeah,
That's who she was.
that's who she was. That's what she did. She, to talk about my niece, she was, and my brother will attest to this. Veronica was sassy. She was the smart ass of the family. Okay, you say something, she'd come back with something just like that. I mean, there was.
She was just like her mom.
Oh my God.
We've heard she was a little spitfire for sure.
Oh my gosh, yes. She was fun. She was you know, some of you might have seen on the Facebook page that I did an interview with Channel 5 here in Oklahoma City, and they showed some pictures of her, and her being the fun-loving person. She loved her family. Her family was absolutely number one in her life. Her kids were everything to her. It was nothing to go to the house and get shot with a dart gun because you walked in the middle of a Nerf gun war.
Yep.
You
Or
walk in,
in the summertime,
got
you
shot.
show up in the yard and there's a water balloon fight going on.
Oh
You're going to
yeah,
get wet. That's all
yeah,
there is to it.
yeah. I mean, if you walked into it, that was your own fault. Her kids were her absolute world. Her family, um, she cherished family very much. She loved being with her and my oldest were very close. They grew up together practically. So they were very, very close. They did things together. They went places together. Clint, correct me if I'm wrong. I think they went on a couple of vacations together.
They did.
So yeah, she cherished family very much.
You can tell in all her pictures, like they just all look, she just looks so fun loving. Like I would have been friends with her, we would have hung out kind of. She just looks just fun loving, and probably somebody that was pretty kind to most everybody, but did absolutely have a little spitfire to her attitude, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh.
And,
what do you want? somebody else came to say hello because,
Aw, to Kitty.
and elsewhere. I know. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, I think we'll wrap this up. It's been like 3 hours, but thank you two
Yeah.
so much.
Questions?
Yes, thank you.
Happy for anybody else's questions. Think I lost my brother again, but
He's frozen, but we'll but I think
But
we have to
yes.
have you guys back if you guys are open for it to do another one of these, because I think it not about the case, but about Veronica and the family memories. I think that means so much to
Mhm.
everybody in the chat to have that
does.
humanistic side to her versus all the pictures that we've seen online. So definitely want to have you guys back to talk more about her.
And we appreciate you guys having us on. I think as I said earlier, it helps the world to know, hey, we can put a face with the names that have been mentioned or, not mentioned or whatever.
There's a human element behind it. It's not just two women that
Yeah.
you've seen in pictures.
Yes.
So it's the human
Correct.
element.
Yes. It's important.
There's real
Very important
lives
to humanize her.
affected. Yeah. All right. Well, girl, I love you. And
I love
Clint's frozen, so we can kind of say whatever we want to Clint right now. Have at it. But thank you, Clint, very much. I appreciate you both coming on so much.
Yes. Thank you
I
so
treasure
much.
you. All right. All right. We're going to end it there. That was on a good note. Thank you for telling the stories as well. I know a lot of people wanted to hear those.
Good.
Yes,
Good.
absolutely.
All right. So much support for both of you. And we'll talk soon. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you. Mods, chat, thank you so
Always.
much for being here. We appreciate you very much. And if you watch this on the replay, we appreciate you as well. And thank you for being so invested in Veronica and Jillian's story and sticking by it. So
Yes,
love
thank
you all.
you.
Thank you. Bye, Tara. Bye, LaDonna.
Bye,
Bye,
sweetie.
Frozen Clint.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Night, night, guys. Thank you.
Bye.